A quick public service announcement to set some parameters. Welcome to City Hall. We're delighted you're here. If you want to speak in favor of or on opposition to the data center, please come forward and get, if I could have one of those forms, please. Grab one of these forms and fill it out so that you can speak in favor of or in opposition to the data center. There will be a public hearing for the Chapter 100, but the Chapter 100 public hearing is just for the Chapter 100. The Chapter 100 means we're just talking about the tax incentives that are being discussed in regard to the data center. Nothing more, nothing less. If you come up during that time period and start to talk about, I love the data center or I don't like the data center, I will gavel you. You have to talk about precisely about the tax incentives during the open discussion, which will be later in the council meeting. So if you want to talk in favor of or in opposition to the data center, now is your opportunity to come forward and get a form. We'll give you a couple more minutes, and then that will give you the opportunity. I know a lot of people have already signed up, but I wanted to make that distinction to make that clear so that everybody gets heard and has the opportunity to speak.
Again, just another housekeeping measure. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing from me, but we do have an overflow room. It's through those double doors over there. There is a conference room set up if for some reason you guys need to sit over there as compared to standing. I get it. And then as you heard the mayor say earlier, the sign-ups are occurring. If you signed up via email with the city clerk, please make sure that you have signed your form. Otherwise, you're giving away your spot in line. So if you have... Let me know also if you happen to sign a second one and there's duplicates. That would be great to know too. But we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes.
quick question just for clarification. Is Rob Douglas here? Where you at, Rob? There we go. Perfect. Just want to make sure you're here. Thank you, my friend. Good evening and welcome to Monday, February 16th, 2026 City Council meeting. Our invocation will be provided by Rob Douglas, elder at the East Independence Church of Christ. Please stand for the invocation and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Rob, the floor is yours.
Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we pause at the start of this meeting to acknowledge you and give thanks for the opportunity to serve our community. Thank you for the City of Independence, for its people, for its heritage, and for the shared hope we have for its future. We ask your blessing on these council members and city leaders who have accepted the responsibility of public service. Grant them wisdom as they deliberate, clarity as they weigh decisions, and a spirit of cooperation as they work together. May their choices reflect fairness, compassion, and a sincere desire for the good of all. I also want to lift up our first responders, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and all who protect and assist our community. Give them courage, sound judgment, and safety as they carry out their duties. Strengthen them and their families who share in the sacrifices of service. For all the residents of this city, we pray for peace in our neighborhoods, prosperity in our work, and unity among neighbors. Help us to treat one another with kindness and respect, building a community marked by goodwill and mutual care. Bless this meeting tonight. May what is said and decided here contribute to the welfare of the city and the flourishing of its people. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fierce.
Here.
Councilmember Perkins.
Here.
Councilmember Stewart.
Here.
Councilmember McCandless.
Here.
Councilmember Wiley.
Here.
Councilmember Vaught.
Here.
Mayor Rowland.
Here. Next, we have a proclamation for establishing Engineering Week in Independence, Missouri. And whereas engineers provide the talents and skills necessary to analyze and solve complex problems, create the infrastructure essential for the high quality of life which citizens of Independence enjoy. And whereas the support of understanding and informed citizenry of Independence, Missouri is vital to the efficient planning, design, construction, and operation of the public infrastructure, which includes water, sanitary, and storm sewers, streets, highways, bridges, public buildings, communications, electricity, and natural gas distribution. And whereas the health, safety, and welfare, comfort, and economic vitality of this community, as well as the success of various citywide construction projects, and whereas engineers address the major technological challenges of our time, from rebuilding towns devastated by natural disasters, by designing infrastructure that will take the city of Independence through the 21st century. And whereas there exists in the region one of the nation's largest collections of engineering firms which are known and recognized worldwide as leaders of their professions. Therefore, we will recognize February 22nd, 2026, be designated worldwide as the 75th Annual National Engineering Week. And Alex Perez, I believe you're going to receive this proclamation. Lopez? Okay. Alex Lopez. Alex, please forgive. All right. Thank you. But we're going to do that once we get past the citizen's request. Councilmember Perkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just out of respect for the full business that has taken place on the second readings, I move to put those above the citizens' request, get the second readings done and out of the way with, and then move back to the citizens' request.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We've got a motion and a second to go to the second readings right now. Any discussion on that motion, that order of the agenda? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll on going to the second readings now and doing that first in the agenda. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears?
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart?
No.
Councilmember McCandless?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Councilmember Vaught?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Councilmember Vaught, did you say no?
I said yes.
Oh, please forgive me. I just wanted to make sure that the vote was recorded correctly. Thank you very much. And yes. So the motion carries 6 in favor, 1 opposed. So we will go to the ordinances right now in the second readings. Madam City Clerk, please read 26009, please.
26-009, second reading, an ordinance adopting amendments to the fiscal year 2025-2026 capital improvement budget, which was approved by ordinance number 19682, and authorizing the city manager to award a contract with TMG Utility Advisory Services, Inc., DBA TMG Consulting, Inc., for an advanced metering infrastructure program and performance management services for a period of 4 years, and authorizing change orders of up to 10% of the authorized amount. Second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion on 26009? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears?
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart? Councilmember McCandless?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Councilmember Vaught?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes. 26009 passes 6 in favor, 6 in favor, 1 opposed. That takes us to 26010. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
26-010, second reading, an ordinance amending section 3.01.001 of the Independent City Code to expand the definition of a public nuisance animal. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
I'm going to move that we postpone this indefinitely. Second.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to postpone this indefinitely. Any further discussion on postponing this item? Okay, there's any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, call the roll on postponing 26010.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vought.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 26010 is postponed indefinitely, 7 in favor, 0 opposed. That takes us to 26011. Please proceed, Madam City Clerk.
26-011, second reading, an ordinance creating section 12.06.021 of the Independent City Code for the prohibition of non-consensual dissemination of private sexual images, second reading.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this topic? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. Mr. Cover, just making sure that this puts us in compliance and consistency with Missouri state statute.
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly what it does.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on 26011? Seeing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vought.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 26011 passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. Brings us to 26012. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
26-012, second reading, an ordinance creating section 12.06.022 of the Independent City Code for the prohibition of threatening the non-consensual dissemination of private sexual images, second reading.
Any discussion on 26012? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vought.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 26012 passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. That brings us to 26013. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
26-013, second reading, an ordinance approving a plan for an industrial development project for the Surgery Center project, authorizing the City of Independence, Missouri to issue taxable industrial development revenue bonds in a principal amount not to exceed $3,530,000 and authorizing certain documents and actions in connection therewith, second reading.
Any discussion on 26013? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vought.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 26013 passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. That brings us to 26015. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
26-015, second reading, an ordinance approving the cooperative agreement among the City of Independence, Missouri, the Blue Ridge Crossing East Community Improvement District, and MBS Mall Investor 98 LLC, second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion on 26015?
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
thank you. Just clarifying that this is a CID in an area that is shared in part by Independence and part by Kansas City. This is the cooperative agreement allowing the two of them to coordinate their activities because they have much shared space between them. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else further discussion on 26015? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vought.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 26015 passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. That brings us to 26016. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
26-016, second reading, an ordinance amending Chapter 4, Article 11, Landlord Tenant Code, and Article 15, Rental Ready of the City Code, second reading.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
a question for the city manager.
Please proceed.
Just wondering how this is going to be communicated out to the landlords, because it makes it easier on them, actually, and so I'm just wondering if you can.
Tom Scannella, our Community Development Director and Acting Assistant City Manager, would be happy to answer that question.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tom Scannell, Community Development Director. So should the council pass this ordinance change tonight, we will work with our staff to try to get that out on the city's website, as well as get it out as quickly as we can to the available landlords. Also, we will educate staff so that they are aware of this. As the city council remembers, in late 2024, when we adopted the changes to the rental ready, we had a similar provision that applied universally across all the rental properties, where if you had a long-term tenant that was there, those inspections were every 4 years. This just changes it for 2 subgroups to 7 years. So we will try to get the information out as best as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on 26016? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vaught.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 26016 passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed, brings us to 22075. Madam City Clerk, please please proceed.
22-075, second reading, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District C1 Neighborhood Commercial and District R6 Single Family Residential to District R18/PUD Moderate Density Residential / Planned Unit Development, and approving a preliminary development plan for the properties at 2610 and 2612 South Lee Summit Road in Independence, Missouri, second reading. The first reading was done on August the 1st, 2022.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please
Mr.
proceed.
Mayor, thank you. There was a conversation that we had 2 weeks ago requiring to delay this for a couple of weeks to bring us here. The applicant has agreed to put extra greenery, evergreens that will be green there all year round on the south side. I forwarded that to several of you for your review. That's all that I have. I will be in support of this.
Thank you. Any further discussion on 22075? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I asked for the delay on this. After talking with community development, I agree that the plan is adequate for the space, and I am happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Discussion on 22075? Seeing no further discussion, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll on 22075.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vaught.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes, 22075 passes 7 in favor, 0 opposed. That's going to take us back to
Citizen comments.
and they'll take us back to the citizens' comments. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Just want to make sure we're doing in the right order here. Very good. That brings us to citizens' comments.
Are we going to do the consent agenda?
Well, we're going to do the council member comments because we already made the motion for the to move forward the second readings.
Okay.
We didn't make a motion for the consent agenda, as I understood it, if I was correct. Okay. So, but thank you for that.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Right. First speaker this evening is George Kapke, and then for the sake of time, the next person up is Cindy Rogers. So you can kind of queue up if you want to do that. And I don't know if George Kapke is still here or not. He did? You saw him walk out? Okay. Cindy, we'll put you there. If George comes back in, we'll put him back in the spot.
Hi, Cindy Rogers, 1316 West 29th Street. Did you guys know that in 115 days, FIFA World Cup kicks off? On behalf of the Board of Directors for the Independence Chamber of Commerce, I'm inviting everybody to the February luncheon this Wednesday, February the 18th at 11:30 at the Niche. The guest speaker is Mark Jorgensen. He is the president of the Board of Directors for Kansas City 2026 FIFA World Cup. We'd love to have you come out, ask questions, make sure that you are ready when the world's largest sporting event hits our region. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Greater Kansas City Building and Trades, Mike Tallboy. And Mike, before you speak, I need a motion so that citizens, non-citizens or non-residents, non-residents can speak before the council this evening.
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears.
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins.
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless.
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley.
Yes.
Councilmember Vought.
Yes.
Mayor Rowland.
Yes. Thank you. Procedural, Mr. Tallboy, so please forgive me. And the floor is yours, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Council. I'm the political director for the Greater Kansas City Building and Trades Council, and just wanted to take a second on the data center. If we could, if you would just, as a show of hands or stand up, if you are a union member, union contractor, or affiliated with unions, please stand up right now. So there are thousands of jobs daily that will be created as a result of what this project will bring Independence. These are our friends, our neighbors, people in the community. The money will stay here. The wages will stay here. Careers will start with this project. This is what it means. These are the people that it affects. And this is money to schools. It's money back into small businesses. It is coffee shops. It is restaurants. It is retail. It is everything that a city would need to be able to move forward. That is what these centers and some of these projects are going to be able to do. And yes, we can have a discussion on whether progress is good or bad, and that I'm sure we will. But when you have progress moving forward, it allows you to grow as a community. It allows you to have your friends and your neighbors' lives changed for the better as a result. And the advancements in technology that are coming are amazing, from medicine to infrastructure to efficiency to being able to have our natural resources and everything be able to have energy efficiency. Whatever you want to look at, the what's next that is coming with technology is great. Even being able to create a Facebook page to have a protest. But we can't forget, if you want to be at the forefront of how progress goes, this is so important because the lives that it will affect, the growth of Independence, the growth of Independence standing in the metro area is endless. And decisions like this, when you have them before you, you got to take them. So with that, I would just implore you to please move this project forward. And the financing of it is something that has been done for decades. It is not a new situation. It is not a new mechanism. It is something that has been done. There is a lot of work that goes into that to make sure that it is a good deal. And this is a very good deal for Independence. And so I would just ask that you please move this project forward on behalf of the men and women who work in your city. Thank you.
Thank you. Please be respectful to all the speakers. We can't applaud it for every person speaks. I've got 3 people that have signed up to speak but did not sign their documents, so we'll still give them a chance to speak. Richard, and I hope I'm reading your name correctly. I mean no disrespect if I mispronounce it. Richard Barchuk, or Barchark, Jason Godfrey, and Chris Yergel. I will give you a moment to come up and you could sign your document and for you. Okay. Yeah. And Chris or Richard? If you know Chris or Richard, let them know. We'll still let them sign it. Thank you. Oh, and Jason, the mic's yours. And you'll have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, my name is Jason Godfrey, and I represent the Independence area for the Mid-America Carpenters Regional Council. I'm here tonight to express our support for the proposed data center project. We believe a responsible development like this can bring meaningful investment, quality jobs, and long-term economic growth to our community. Projects of this scale create opportunities for skilled tradespeople, local businesses, and families who call Independence home. We're hopeful this project moves forward in a way that provides good jobs and benefits the city as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Les Boatwright. Next up is Les Boatwright. You go to Chapter 100 bond, but when you go there, Les, you can only speak about the taxing issues. Okay. Matcha Greenleaf Maple. And Matcha, you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please state your address, please. I'm sorry if I haven't made everybody do that, so my fault.
No worries. My name is Maka Greenleaf Maple. I live at 18827 Gateway Drive. We good? Okay. My name is Maka Greenleaf Maple. My husband and I are longtime residents of Independence. I normally have other obligations on Monday evenings, but felt it was important to speak on this agenda item. I appreciate the council's decision to hear from citizens tonight, and I commend you for your commitment to public service, even when it is at its most challenging. Our home is about 2 miles from the site of the new data center, and we frequently enjoy the trail along Little Blue Trace. I take environmental concerns very seriously and am an avid naturalist. AI is not something I use regularly, and I do not stand to benefit personally from this company. I've had many questions about safeguards this form of industry would require. Having read the information available both from our city website and through independent online searches, I believe the agreement with Nebius and their plans for this particular development are thoughtful and comprehensive. I want to thank the council members for your diligence in bringing needed economic growth to our city and investment into our power grid while ensuring light and noise pollution will be mitigated, citizens will not bear increased utility costs, water usage will be less than that of other industry and development, no water from the project will be released into the environment. If Nebius goes out of business, the site will be remediated back to green space, and that in the event of sale to another entity, all agreements with the city will transfer to the new owner. All industry and development involves neighborhood and environmental burdens. Based on the information available, this project seems on target to address the biggest concerns I've had and is substantially different from many other large data center projects in the nation. I appreciate the mayor and the council's care with regard to our stewardship of the environment while addressing the very real economic needs of our city. My asks, if there is any way to strengthen Nebius's commitment in this regard, would be to add reforestation efforts to all possible areas of the property itself, as well as in their commitment to our community, both along Little Blue and throughout our neighborhoods. I would emphasize the importance of noise and especially light pollution mitigation, as this area is key for migratory birds and a vibrant population of wildlife in surrounding green spaces. I'm excited about several opportunities this project brings to our young people and lifelong learners. I believe the educational opportunities in partnership with our school districts and MCC will give our citizens an advantage in the workforce. Having served economically and educationally vulnerable kids and families for more than 20 years through the Independence School District, I'm thankful to see a substantial influx of resources this project makes available to all students. Although I wish we could garner even more tax revenue from the project than is proposed, I understand this is a competitive field, and I support the council voting yes on the taxable industrial development revenue bonds for the Nebius project and any other measures related to this development. In closing, there's been a great deal of misinformation circulating in our community, especially online, and I urge my fellow citizens to attend to information about this particular project rather than data centers in general. I've been reassured to read testimony from people living near similar projects. I'm heartened when I read comments from others locally who recognize that any personal attacks on the people we elected to shoulder this decision-making responsibility are unfounded. And to use this opportunity for public comment to help the proposed project best meet our needs as a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Damon Miles. Damon, are you here, Damon? And next up after Damon will be Dale, I believe it is Auger. So Dale, you may want to be ready to go behind Damon to save us time tonight. Thank you, Dale.
Hello, I'm Damon Miles. I want to thank you as a city council. A lot of you, I call on the phone when I have needs. You answer the phone calls. Even if you're in Alaska or some other location, I appreciate it. I let you guys know what I need, and thank you for serving our city. I'm Damon Miles, and I live right here in Independence.
And can you give me your address? Can you give me your address, please?
Yes, 19305 East 5th Terrace Court, North.
Thank you.
I live right here in Independence. I moved here 25 years ago when I took a job as a union laborer. I now represent LiUNA, Local 264. I'm the financial secretary treasurer, but I've spent 20 plus years in the field building projects in Kansas City like Union Station, Liberty Memorial, North Kansas City Hospital, Fort Osage School, Lee Summit Schools. I realized that this was supposed to be a temporary job 25 years ago, and it created a great living as a construction worker. This job right here will create great opportunity for Fort Osage, for Independence, for Blue Springs, for school districts right here. And I believe that we need to give the kids this opportunity. I don't know who in the world would turn down $150 billion worth of work. I know Kansas will take it. They took the Chiefs Stadium. We have to fight for this. We have to make this happen. This is an opportunity. Independence is always right there on the edge of having great things. And this is one of those things that can be a great thing in Independence. It can create jobs. It creates revenue. People are going to buy stuff at the convenience store. They're going to buy stuff in our local businesses, our squares, there's just so many opportunities that we have here. Right here in Independence, LiUNA laborers, we have 400 LiUNA laborers households. A lot of people don't know what laborers are. We're the ones that do the hard stuff on the construction site. We're the guys in the ditches. We're the guys that pour the concrete. We're the guys that run the jackhammers. We're the ones that's playing in traffic, putting up the cones. We're the first one on the job. We're the last one off the job, vacuuming the carpet and washing the windows. We're kind of like the nurses of the hospital. We don't get much glory. A lot of people don't know about us, but we make it happen. This is an opportunity to make it happen right here in Independence. And I thank the city council for this opportunity. And the only thing I leave you, if they don't build this data center right here in Independence, they will build it somewhere else. This is our opportunity. Let's not miss it.
Thank you. Thank you. Dale, you're up next. If I may just take a moment, Dale, to queue up the next folks. Doug Cowan will be next, and Dr. Cindy Grant will be after Doug Cowan. So if you can be queued up, ready to go, that'd be great. Mr. Auger, the floor is yours. Please give us your address, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Dale Auger, 21605 South Briar Road, Peculiar, Missouri, 64078. My name's Dale Auger. I'm a president of Pipe Fitters Local Union 533 right here in Kansas City. I want to thank you all for your time to listen to me talk tonight. I speak tonight in support for the development of the Nebius Data Center. Jotted down a few of the key notes that I want to share with everyone. On average, data centers at peak of development require 1,500 to 3,000 skilled construction workers. These are skilled union journeymen and women, the majority of whom live here in Independence or grew up here. meaning that the majority of the money made here is going to be spent here. Data centers spur local economics by providing high-paying jobs in IT and construction, contributing to tax revenues and supporting local supply chains. The Nebius Data Center will bring tens of millions of dollars to local schools and government, hundreds of construction jobs, and 125 or more permanent high-paying tech roles and infrastructure upgrades. The Nebius project drives the expansion of the Blue Valley Power Plant, significantly increasing the city's power generation capacity. The expansion of the city's power is designed to help stabilize or lower the electrical costs for residents. Then I also want people to understand that the Nebius project is designed in a closed-looped cooling system, minimizing the water usage compared to the traditional data centers. So I ask for everybody to consider to understand that this data center provides so much for the city and its residents. It will also be done with union labor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up is Doug Cowan, and is Dr. Cindy Grant in the room? Yep, Dr. Cindy Grant is coming. And then after Dr. Cindy Grant is Brett Coleman. So if Brett can be ready to go too, that'd be perfect. Mr. Cowan, please proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This is all coming together nicely. As you can tell, I'm going to Scouts after this, and my son is pitching his Eagle Scout project to our troop committee tonight. So this is a complex issue that has landed in our community. Our world is clearly changing and changing quickly, and it seems likely that this development and others in the future will land in front of us again sometime in the future. Questions about projects that need lots of water, lots of electricity, and other resources. New technologies will probably bring additional questions that we haven't even thought of yet, and it will be important for us as engaged citizens to think about how we handle these types of complex questions in the future. For better or for worse, I see the world in gray. Sometimes I wish I saw it in black or white, where it's either one thing or the other. But for people like me who see the world in gray, I see that as a community, we can do not necessarily one or the other, but both. I see that we can address important questions about health and safety, public utilities, and our community can participate in the financial and other community gains that a project like this data center offers. For 16 years, I've been coming in front of the City Council as the President and CEO of Community Services League. I've come in front of this body and advocated for countless measures that would strengthen the lives of our Independence neighbor families. I've come in front of you and asked for support around public transportation, jobs, housing developments, utility and rent assistance, tenant rights, safe and habitable housing, stopping predatory lending and other predatory practices in our community, just to name a few. In my role at CSL, it's put me in the middle of many civic ventures, and I found myself involved in nearly every civic issue that provides for more support for our wonderful entities like police and fire, parks, streets, and teachers. Independence is a city that operates on extremely limited financial margins. I've been involved in efforts around the Independence Square and in Fairmount in Northwest Independence to form community improvement districts and TIFs so we can have just a modest amount of funding to help move our community forward. Our community needs so many things: affordable housing, redevelopment, public infrastructure, an emergency shelter, more opportunities for people trying to exit homelessness, and so many more things. We need tens of and maybe hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild and reimagine our future. I've lived in Independence for 45 years and I love this community, and I'm glad my wife and I are raising our 2 sons here. I believe in this community. I believe that we can work with the developer to ensure positive development, and I see a future where the financial gains transform our community. I encourage you to remain vigilant with this development and ensure that it meets the needs of our community, but I believe that we can say yes to this project and envision a brighter future for all of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Dr. Cindy Grant, you're next, and then it'll be Brett Coleman and then Dan O'Neill. So Dan, he may be ready to get queued up there. I don't see Dan, but anyway, he's on deck.
There we go.
Oh, there he is. Please proceed, Dr. Grant.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Dr. Cindy Grant, Interim Superintendent of the Independence School District, graduate of Truman High School, and community member. Thank you for the opportunity to speak regarding the proposed AI data center project. I am here to share the Independence School District's perspective on the projected impact of this development. The proposed AI data center represents commercial development at a scale unprecedented in our community. Based on documents provided to the district, over the 20-year life of the proposed abatement, the Independence School District is projected to receive approximately nearly $500 million. That level of projected revenue represents a significant and transformative financial benefit to our district. In Missouri, school funding is closely tied to assessed property values. Development of this magnitude has the potential to significantly strengthen our local revenue base. The projected revenue could provide long-term stability for both our operating fund and our debt service fund, helping ensure we can meet current and future obligations while maintaining high-quality educational services for our children. Importantly, growth in the commercial tax base reduces reliance on the residential property tax. As commercial valuation increases, the burden on homeowners can decrease. This project has the potential to lower levies for our patrons while keeping our schools strong. That balance, strong schools and responsible taxation, is a meaningful benefit to our entire community. From the district's financial perspective, the projected revenue associated with this development represents a substantial long-term opportunity for public education in Independence. District administration, mayor, and city council members, we trust you to make the best decision for our community, one that results in a stronger school district and a stronger community as a whole. Together, that allows us to continue providing the best possible education for the children of Independence. Thank you for your time and your leadership.
Thank you. Next up is Brett Coleman. And Brett, you have 5 minutes, and please give me your address, please.
Yeah, Brett Coleman, 1617 Northeast Shadow Valley Drive, Lee Summit, Missouri.
Thank you.
So I am the chairman of the Independence Chamber of Commerce, and I think there's a great opportunity here. I'm in favor of the data center. There's great things happening in Independence right now. My kids were born at MCI, Independence Regional. I'm a Kansas transplant. My wife is a Fort Osage graduate. I've enjoyed the Sermon Center. I've went to theater there. I've played basketball, used the small weight room, and went to parties there. My kids went to Adventure Oasis until it had to be closed due to funding. We've went to many picnics throughout the parks in Independence. So we've been heavy users of the Independence services. We enjoyed the square and the developing arts district. So there's so many good things going on in Independence right now. The revenue from this project, which as you heard Dr. Grant say, is millions of dollars, from my understanding, is by 2030 is projected to be around $50 million for the city general fund, which is more than 50% of the money that the general fund currently has to spend. That could do amazing things in our community. I had an employee when I was CEO of Centerpoint that had over a 1-hour bus ride to work. That's something that we could invest in, that we've had to cut back on our bus routes. We have police and fire. There's so many of these laborers that have spoken, the teachers. We can have more and higher pay for these staff. It's a competitive environment. Every time we raise pay, or the state raises pay, or another city raises pay, we're in danger of losing any of those staff. So I believe this is there's no lack of ideas of ways to spend money, but these are really important things that could change our community, our roads, our bridges, and everything that we often take for granted in daily life. I'm grateful for those who had the foresight to expand Little Blue Parkway to 4-lane. I'm grateful to North Point for having the patience and making the investment in this property, and I'm grateful to Nebius for being willing to spend billions of dollars in our community. Our community is strong, it's a great place to live, we can make it even better. This is a great project, and I hope you'll support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Dan O'Neill, and then after Dan O'Neill is Laney Ruth, and then Eleonora Ruth.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Dan O'Neill. I'm the Vice Chair of the Independence Chamber of Commerce. My address is 2700 South Coachman. The data center project is a culmination of our community's historical effort to attract economic development. With its arrival, we can expect a significant boost in much needed revenue. The revenue will directly benefit our schools, our infrastructure, our first responders. This is a turning point in the history of our hometown. And because of that, I urge you to support this project and consider approving the economic incentive package. The place that you're currently in is called the red zone in football. And it takes a lot of effort by many, many people to get into that red zone. I ask you, please don't drop the ball now.
Thank you. Next up is Laney Ruth, and then Eleanor Ruth. We'll hold their spot for Laney Ruth or Eleanor Ruth. Okay. Laney Ruth or Eleanor Ruth? Okay. Next up is Rachel Gonzalez, and then after Rachel is Bo Marino. And Rachel, please state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes, please.
Great, thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Rachel Gonzalez, and I am a resident of Independence, a parent, and someone who spent the last several weeks listening to neighbors who are scared and frustrated about the data center project. I wanted to start by saying something that matters to me. I did not come into this process cynical. I did not assume bad intent. In fact, I voted for many of you. I vouched for many of you, and I encouraged many of my friends and family to vote for many of you. And I genuinely believe that even when we disagreed, you were acting in good faith and putting residents first. I also came into this believing that the more I learned about this project, the better I would feel about it. I assumed that initial concerns would be addressed with facts, transparency, and open dialogue. But instead, the opposite has happened. As we've learned more, residents have been met with misinformation, false equivalencies, and repeated assurances that do not align with the scale of this project. Too often, concerns are dismissed with the implication that residents are ignorant, that our opposition comes from misunderstanding, and that city leaders are simply smarter than the people that they represent. Across the neighborhoods closest to the proposed data center, people feel blindsided, dismissed, and sacrificed. They feel like decisions are being made behind closed doors, while they are asked to accept massive permanent change to their neighborhoods, to their environment, to their health, and to their property values, all in the name of economic development. Let's be clear what's being proposed here. It's not a small or typical project. It is an enormous data center, millions of square feet paired with a new major power plant expansion, placed directly next to homes, schools, and public trails. It will bring constant noise, it will use millions of gallons of water, and it will be next to our public trails. And our group has asked, and there have been no commitments to use local labor, no commitments to use union labor, and no questions about salaries of those jobs answered. There's a reason people are coming together across backgrounds and political parties to oppose this project. In just over a month, our community group, Stop the AI Data Center in Independence, has grown to more than 2,000 members and continues to grow every single day. There's a reason neighbors who have never spoken or attended a council meeting before are standing here tonight. It's because they feel that their city government is no longer listening, only managing optics. Transparency has been promised, but documents are delayed. Questions are deflected. Comparisons are made to projects that are nowhere near the scale of the one that is proposed here. Instead of clarity, residents are met with talking points. Instead of dialogue, they're met with timelines that feel rushed and predetermined. You are not just voting on tax breaks for a data center. You are voting on whether the people of Independence can still feel that their voices matter more than corporate interest. You are voting on whether economic development in the city will be done with the residents or done to them. And I want to acknowledge and thank Bryce Stewart for publicly stating that he will vote no on the Chapter 100 bond, because that clarity matters. It tells residents that their concerns are being heard and that it is still possible to stand with the community in this room. Opposing this project does not mean opposing progress. It does not mean opposing jobs, growth, or innovation. It means opposing growth that comes at the expense of real people. People who did nothing to deserve being treated as collateral damage. It means that saying no neighborhood should be sacrificed, that no group of residents should suffer at the expense of economic development, and that people should not be felt to be treated as collateral damage.
You have 1 minute, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'll leave you with one question. When this vote is taken, will you stand with foreign corporations, or will you stand with the people you are elected to represent? Thank you.
Thank you. Please don't do that after every speaker, because the speakers that spoke earlier, the folks who were in favor of their position, did not applaud for them out of respect for all of us. So if we could do the same for other people that have a different opinion, I would be extremely grateful. This is a city council meeting. It is not an auditorium. It is not a sporting event. So I understand where you're coming from, but please be respectful to decorum of the chamber. Thank you. And Bo, please state your address.
Yes, sir.
And you have 5 minutes.
616 Southeast Steeple Court, Blue Springs, Missouri. And good evening, everyone. My name is Bo Marino. I'm the business manager of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local Union 124. Local Union 124 represents over 4,700 active and retirees, with hundreds of those members living right here in Independence. We have a direct stake in this city's growth. We are here to support the Nebius Data Center because it represents more than just a building. It represents a $7 billion investment and a future into our local workforce. Data centers are unique because they provide ongoing high-level construction maintenance work, creating a stable environment for us to train the next generation of apprentices. It is projected to bring in between 35 and 55 million in annual reoccurring tax revenue upon completion. With that, millions of those annual dollars will be passed on to local entities, including Independence and Fort Osage school districts, Jackson County Mid-Continent Public Library, and the Metropolitan Community College. By approving this project, you are choosing to invest into local families and stronger tax base for Independence. On a personal note, I grew up 5 minutes away from the proposed location of this project, and my mother still lives there today. I'm a proud Fort Osage graduate. In my 54 years, very little has changed in that area other than Little Blue Parkway's completion. This is an opportunity to bring something better to this community and its future. We ask for your vote of yes. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is Lainey Ruth and Eleanor Ruth ready to go?
Yeah, sorry we're in the overflow.
No
There's a
worries.
little bit of a
I'll
delay.
be respectful of people who are in the overflow, and it may take you some time, so we're not going to take anybody out of the queue.
Okay,
Thank you. If you can please state your name and address, and are you going to speak together or?
Separately, I'll go, should I go first? Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
You wanna- Okay, hi, I'm Lainey. I live at 16015 East 40th Terrace South.
Thank you.
City Council members, you have heard many opinions from Independence residents tonight. I just want to share I share a lot of these concerns against the project, but I hope to offer a different perspective that might not have been articulated. I see this decision as choosing between the interests of a $25 billion corporation, an AI industry worth over $500 billion, and the wealthy shareholders and CEOs who will profit, versus the residents of Independence, the everyday workers living paycheck to paycheck, working hard to contribute to this community we call home. Nebius has made this deal sound mutually beneficial. They will claim it isn't like the other data centers. It's not as bad for the environment. They want to have community input. These things sound nice. They'll do whatever they can to calm our fears. Why? Do they truly care about our community, our neighbors, those of us in this room? No. They want to expand their operating capacity in order to increase their profits. But does more AI improve or degenerate quality of life for everyday people? A Pew Research Center poll from 2025 shows that Americans are more concerned than optimistic about the increase in AI use. 53% think that it will be worse for our ability to think creatively. 50% think it will be worse for our ability to form meaningful relationships with other people. And this poll had different columns, so only 5% thought it would be better, and 16% thought it would be better for thinking creatively. Also, AI has been and will continue to replace people in the workforce. My partner is a Teamster at UPS, where AI innovation and automation has contributed to the loss of 48,000 jobs and the closing of 93 facilities last year alone, with the projection of 30,000 more job cuts in the coming months. And as Rachel said, as far as I've seen, Nebius has not said that they will use local labor or union labor. Why would they, when they can go to other states that don't have the union protections that we have and bring in workers who will work for less? Also, we don't know what kind of data will be housed here. Here are some possibilities. These are some different companies that are in the AI industry. Palantir, a $313 billion company, and other companies that are also using facial recognition technology for surveillance and are a big contributor to the dystopian future we're moving towards as a society. I don't feel safer knowing that this technology exists. I don't want it to be housed in my backyard. I don't know about people here. Or maybe a company like Friend or Replica or Nami. These are all companion AI technologies that are designed to take the place of friendships and romantic relationships with real people. This industry is currently valued at $38 billion, and these companies are expected to continue rapid growth in the coming years. What does this mean for people who are relying more and more on these technologies and less on the people around them? Is this what we want to be investing in? These are just two examples of AI innovation that are particularly troubling to me. But as a teacher here in the ISD, the over-reliance of AI in student learning is another fear of mine. How is this going to help our students think creatively and be able to produce good work and show their learning? Thank you. So in order to add value to these extremely wealthy corporations, what is the cost for everyday people? It costs jobs, self-sufficiency, dignity, privacy, creativity. We know the gap is widening between the wealthiest and poorest in our country. We are not passive agents in this process. Choosing to invest in the AI industry by partnering with Nebius will further deepen the divide that has been increasing so much over the last 15 years alone. To those who have said that this project could be built somewhere else, if not here, that doesn't have to be the case. There's opposition across the U.S. States like Ohio have introduced legislation to rein in this kind of development. The future of our country and our world is not out of our hands. We are doing this now. We are making these decisions. When you were elected to your seat, to close, whose interest did you have in mind?
you have 15
Corporate
seconds.
CEOs or your working class neighbors? Who's going to inform the decision you make? The concerned people in this room and throughout the city, or the billionaires who are exploiting us all and devastating our quality of life? You can stand with the working class or the ruling class, but you can't do both. You cannot ride the fence and try to appease us both here. Which side are you on?
Thank you. And
How do
then
you want her
next.
to be able to speak?
Yeah, I was thinking of that. How can we, if we can get her a,
Is this move?
if she stands in front of the podium, can
You
she
can
still
see a
be
little
seen on
more.
on the screen?
We can try. You gonna try right here?
You got it. Say, I'm 6.
I'm 6. And my name is Eleanor.
I'm here to tell you
I'm here to tell you
about my inhaler.
because, why I need to use my inhaler sometimes.
I'm getting hot.
Take your time. You're doing great.
Tell them why you use your inhaler sometimes.
When I have a hard time breathing, I do 2 or 4 puffs.
Yeah. I feel like I want to join. I want to join my brothers.
Sometimes I want to join my brothers, but I feel like I have to miss out.
On the school, right?
Or on a day of school.
So I don't want to have to use the inhaler more.
I don't want to have to use the inhaler more.
So we have to stop.
So we have to stop
Them.
them from making the data center. Because
What does it do to the air? It will pollute the air
the air
and make it hard to breathe.
and make it harder for me and other people and independents to breathe.
Say thank you.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Eleonora. Thank you. Next up is Stephanie Robinson and then Richard McKee. And I know Richard is here. I just saw him just a second ago. Okay, thank you, Richard. And Stephanie will have 5 minutes, and please state your name and address, please.
Thank you. Stephanie Robinson, 17229 East 41st Street South. Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm a resident of your 3rd district. Thanks for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I want to express my serious concern about the proposed Chapter 100 tax incentives for the Nebius Data Center and the environmental concerns I also have. The Chapter 100 tax incentives shift the tax burden away from large corporations and onto the residents, homeowners, and small businesses without adequate public review. And before improving any incentive package, we need transparency on the total public cost, including the lost revenue that would otherwise be taken in if Nebius was responsible for their full tax liability. The difference in the revenue from tax incentives versus the revenue Nebius would pay without tax incentives is a significant difference. Chapter 100 will cause our community to lose out on full tax revenue that is used for schools, emergency services, and infrastructure, all the things we are hoping to save. The tax incentives favoring pilots amount to about a 90% abatement on real estate taxes and 98% abatement on property taxes that they would otherwise owe. The pilots are projected to amount to roughly $700 million over 20 years, where if Nebius had to pay their fair share of full taxes without pilots, the revenue would be in the $50 billion range over 20 years. That's corporate welfare, and we should not be settling for less overall revenue if we really care about funding our community. What guarantees do residents have that any jobs promised will be permanent, local, and well-paying? What clawback provisions are in place if these commitments are not met? We need to make sure there are provisions in place for annual reviews, reporting, and community oversight to ensure public benefit actually materializes. We need only to look at the schools who were promised tax revenue from lottery, gambling, and marijuana taxes, yet are still not adequately funded. Economic development should not mean corporate welfare. It should mean measurable benefit to the taxpayers who are funding it. Residents deserve more of a voice before such a major financial decision affecting our entire community is made. Many residents are not fully informed about the financial and environmental implications of this project and don't realize that the tax incentives will result in the loss of millions of billions of dollars in lost revenue compared to no tax incentives. The public also deserves more transparent information about the environmental impacts of a project of this magnitude. As construction has already started, it's already impacting the environment by causing soil erosion and dust, wildlife disruption, increased vehicle emissions, and temporary runoff into our waterways. This requires the use of more chemicals. And although Nebius claims they will use the closed-loop cooling, that requires the use of more chemicals and carries a bigger risk for leaks, which could land those chemicals in the aquifer. These closed-loop cooling systems require ongoing maintenance and continued ecosystem and water quality impact reports. Has the city conducted its own transparent study on the projected water use and long-term sustainability? Has or will a full environmental impact assessment been done, including air quality modeling, water impacts, and noise levels? Has any of this information been made available to the public? Residents deserve to see all the data before any financial incentives are finalized and approved. The energy load is another main concern. Even with a new power generation facility, how will the increased electricity demands affect our grid stability, rates for residents, and long-term infrastructure costs? Data centers that train large models use many GPUs and operate 24/7, using more electricity than thousands of homes. GPUs and servers are replaced every few years to keep up with demand. Improper disposal of these can lead to toxic heavy metal contamination. And where will it be recycled, or if it will be recycled? Diesel backup generators can cause air pollution, local air particulate matter, and potential fuel leaks, which is a concern being so close to an ammunition facility, and I'm understanding this is going to require its own fire department. Soon we'll have almost 40 data centers in the Kansas City area. Do we really care that little about our environment that we need to have all these data centers in every single city? Thank you.
Thank you. Richard McKee is next up, and then Kevin Baird is after Richard.
Richard McKee, 3804 Hayden Drive, Independence, Missouri. I am against the AI data center. I am an old man, but it will affect my grandchildren. Why does a foreign country get tax breaks? A foreign company. Data centers are about spying on the citizens. Do you believe in that? This facility is very near an ammo plant. If city made money on the deal, would you reopen Adventure Oasis, clean the overgrowth at my park, improve city services? Do you want this deal on your record? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Kevin Baird. And Kevin, state your name and address, please. And then Monica Engel is after Kevin, and then after Monica would be Lucy Young.
All right, Kevin Baird, 2312 Viking Drive. Good evening. My comments tonight are my own and not those of my employer. In late summer of 2024, I stood in front of this council and argued against the city's plans to explore building a new methane generation plant in order to potentially land a data center. At that time, I asked the council to slow down and form a plan, urging them to do so since the data center rush wasn't going anywhere.
And Kevin, if I can interrupt you just a second, I will let you start from this point forward. Since you've spoken this topic before in front of the council, you have 3 minutes and not 5.
No, I've spoken about the power generation deal, not about the data center. That was completely separate ordinances, Mayor.
Okay, we'll let you proceed then.
Thank you. In November of last year, I again argued against this massive methane generation plant being built to serve one customer. I questioned the council about why there had not been a single town hall or public forum on what is the biggest energy project in IPL's history. Then in December, when it came time to approve that power generation deal, I came back to the podium again. The council was unanimous in its approval, and sorry to tell you, this basically sealed the deal. By the way, this council gave this methane plant a pass from having to pay a single dime in sales or property taxes. They even specifically ruled out payments in lieu of taxes to sweeten the deal even more. You know, city leadership could have been out in front of the public, educating them on what their thinking was this last year and a half. Instead, they negotiated things behind closed doors, and now they wonder why people are upset. This council has simply done the bare minimum to get through this process as fast as possible, treating this whole process like a regular agenda item. They let Nebius come in and do a public Q&A on a Monday at 3:30 in the afternoon when most of us were at work. Coupled with a study session presentation where the public couldn't ask questions, that was their idea of public outreach. There's no doubt the projected revenue would provide a much-needed lifeline to our city. You'd think the city would have a plan for how the projected revenue would be spent to help sell this to the community. There is nothing. They are like deer in headlights. And we're not even close to having all the questions answered that need to be answered. For example, what is the additional 400 megawatts of on-site generation Nebius is looking to install? Will Nebius be allowed to load shed during peak demand events and run on their generators? What are the specific protections in place if Nebius were to leave in, say, 7 years? Who pays for that massive methane generation plant if that happens? We need specifics, not assurances from unelected directors. I could list many more outstanding questions, but I'm just spitting into the wind. Look, folks, the power deal at Blue Valley is done and approved by all parties. Even the interim power deal that Nebius needs to run while the plant is being built is done and approved. And that alone puts $22 million on pressure on ratepayers if this deal falls through. It won't fall through, though, because it was all agreed upon outside of the public's view. I doubt they can even negotiate lower property tax abatement with Nebius because of how deep they are in this deal. Nebius reportedly wants 90%, but have you seen the recent news? Just last week, Google signed an agreement to build a data center in the Northland, and they only got a 75% property tax abatement. In addition, Google gave the Smithville School District approximately $1.5 million up front. Then a few weeks back, Microsoft came out and said its data centers would not ask for any property tax abatement because of the lack of jobs that get created and the stress data centers put on resources. Why are city leaders entertaining the idea of giving a $23 billion foreign company with very little background property tax relief? Why should Nebius get a better deal than what Microsoft is asking for and what Google just received? Billionaire corporations shouldn't get to move into a community, build a big fossil fuel plant to pollute its air, ignore the public, and then expect to be welcomed with open arms and tax relief. Nor should the council or city leaders expect us to accept this. Their primary incentive to build here is the power you've already agreed upon. That's the only incentive that matters. Nothing more should be given to them.
Thank you. Next up is Monica Engel. Monica, are you here? And then Andrew Hench. Okay.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Monica Engel. I live at 22401 East Bun Shoe Road. I was born and raised in Independence. I graduated from Nativity of Mary Grade School and St. Mary's High School. I'm proud to call this city my home. In October 2021, when I purchased my home in a 7.5 acre piece of land on Bunshoe Road, I thought it would be my forever home. It was the perfect mix of city and country for me and my husband. We loved the untouched beauty of the east side of Independence, and the Little Blue Valley is such a unique place within our city. However, shortly thereafter, in early 2022, little yellow signs started popping up along Little Blue Parkway. My heart sank. I was heartbroken to hear that the city wanted to turn this most unique part of our city into an industrial park. So I attended Planning Commission meetings and gathered signatures on petitions in an effort to keep our city beautiful. Obviously, our opposition was not successful. It's hard to fight a city who has already made up their minds and has agreed to work with large corporations. The most heartbreaking result of this 2022 decision, though, were all the broken promises. The proposed plan from North Point in 2022 included not only industrial warehouses that would provide jobs to local residents, but also other businesses like banks and grocery stores that would be used by our local citizens. There was even mention of a dog park to help preserve some of the natural beauty of that part of our land. Now, what do we have as a result of those promises? We have 2 nearly empty industrial buildings and a new plan that was made behind closed doors for a disgustingly large data center. There have been accusations that our opposition group is a not in my backyard group, but I can tell you that there are several residents here tonight and not here tonight that are absolutely opposed to this. But of course, those of us that live in with close proximity to this site are against this because we care about our homes and our land. If this data center goes through as planned, it will undoubtedly destroy our property values. Sorry, I'm gonna get emotional. How would you feel if this project was going in your front or backyard? Since I have learned of this project, I have literally been sick to my stomach. For myself, my husband, my 3-year-old, and my neighbors on Bunshoe and Bly Roads, and the others that live around there. Our homes are our largest life investments. If this project goes through, it will destroy our life's largest investment. I would also like to mention that I am a wife of a local 8 union plumber, and I have many union members in my family. Of course, we want to support big local jobs that go to union workers. However, will this promise of using local union workers just be another broken promise from our city officials? As previously stated, this project is being rushed. We aren't getting clear answers to our questions, and believe me, we have so many questions. As previously stated, I am proud to be a lifelong independent citizen, and I want to see a positive future for this city. However, this project cannot be the answer. We, the citizens, are tired of broken promises and tired of feeling ignored by our city officials. Please, I ask you, when it comes to giving this foreign company a tax break to destroy our land, vote no. Do not give this foreign company extra incentive to come here and destroy our land. We do not want it. There has to be a better answer for our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lucy Young, 2320. Sorry.
One, Lucy. Andrew Hinch was supposed to be next to Lucy. I didn't mean to, so please forgive me. But we'll give Andrew a second to come forward. And then Lucy, don't walk away. You're next, okay? Please forgive me.
Hello. Andy Hanch, 3017 South Claremont, Independence, Missouri. So I came tonight not to ask questions such as what is economic development, what is quality of life, what is capitalism, and unfortunately I see capitalism as a struggle of those who have and who have not. I see that Independence has scarce resources, trails, walking parks. You know, on the western side of Independence, we face the prospect of an Arrowhead Stadium that's moving away. You can look to other parts of the city and see what happens when a corporation or a company or rich owners decide to leave. You know, I work in South Kansas City where the old Honeywell plant had to be cleaned up with a government Superfund site. And I'm just curious, and I know this is not the same, but I do know that despite some of the assurances we have, there are serious questions about water use, electricity use, and the idea that you could have thousands of 2, 3, 4 ton trucks tearing up roads when we already have potholes. So I guess in conclusion, I would just like to say we as a community need to start and keep asking questions about this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Lucy Young, and then we'll take a 5-minute break after that. Lucy?
Point of clarification.
Please.
When you announced it the first time, you did say my name, so I just wasn't overly anxious to get up here.
No
my
worries.
apologies.
And please, I'll take responsibility as my fault. So.
C'est la vie. Lucy Young, 2320 Viking Drive, Independence, Missouri, 64057. And yes, I'm in favor of this. And yes, I live approximately 3.5 miles away from this. We could be facing because of the zoning, we could be facing a warehouse going there. When North Point came in, there was a lot of discussion about Chewy coming in. And that would bring in a lot of 18-wheelers that would be burning their diesel, that'd be bringing in a lot of delivery vans that could be coming and going right along 78 Highway, along our corridor where our children's schools are. So the neighbors would probably come out and be opposed to that as well. Which brings me to my point. This was zoned in 2022. There were a lot of contentious discussions at that point with the council. People did not want to see the environmental aspects, the eagle disrupted, all the same arguments that we're hearing here. And at that time, I was opposed to North Point coming in. But I'm in favor of this because it has been rezoned. And your alternative is, if you want to control the property, you need to buy it. You cannot tell your neighbor what to do with their land. Missouri property laws are very strict. We had a case like this a long time ago. I'm sure one of you might remember. Up on the Valley View Parkway, a building came in and was totally rezoned, totally went up, went through the process. Then finally they put the name on it. The church was enraged because it was a Hooters, and they came to the council trying to stop it at that point. After the policy has been set in place, it cannot be stopped. 2 weeks ago, you had people from off Lee Summit Road come to you and tell you that they didn't want that in their backyard with the senior housing. This is a NIMBY project right here. I understand their concerns. But when you live in a rural area with the designation of a commercial business park and is industrial zoned, you're gonna get some kind of commercial development there. This one is probably going to help us dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in with the budget. You watched the meetings last week. You saw the gap between the expenses and the revenues that Independence has. We have to fill that, or you have to make more cuts. And where will those come from? We already have a hiring freeze. We're limited in the number of police officers we can hire and fire. We absolutely need to find revenues. IPL has had several studies through the years. DKMT is the last one, and they said to keep our electrical rates down, we must find more commercial and industrial customers. This fits the bill. People keep talking about the excessive water use of the data center. The city has already produced the numbers that there will be between 400,000 and 635,000 gallons annually used by the data center, making it the 51st large water user here. Our number one user, a cement plant, has 42 million gallons plus that it uses a year. So what's the next thing? We eliminate cement plants because they use too much water? The electricity is generating and paying for itself. If anything, it's a godsend to this city because we can be used as a pass-through on the way to the SPP and back again to bring in taxes to bail us out of the situation that we're in. We
You have
can't.
1 minute.
We cannot keep cutting ourselves to prosperity, is what our last city manager said. As far as behind closed doors, executive sessions are covered by Missouri state statute, and there were no other improprieties. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, it is 7:31. We'll come back and start again at 7:37.
It's the best one. Thanks.
Yeah. And then next up will be Marion Breitenbach, and then after Marion will be Cecilia Jones. So Marion, you'll have 5 minutes. Please come forward. And then if you want to know what the next person in the lineup is, it'll be Maggie Robinson after Cecilia Jones. So Marion, Cecilia, Maggie. Marion, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, and I don't plan on taking 5 minutes. I know this is a done deal, and I know all you guys and your great wisdom and great business acumen have already made up your mind. This is all a shell game that we're playing right now. Some of the things I've heard up here was they talked about tax base. There's no tax base. You guys have already given it away. There's a 90% tax abatement on this from what I understand. You've already given the tax base away. Drive around Independence. How many empty buildings we got around here? I just ran for office and walked around the neighborhoods. There's a lot of old homes around here. There's a lot of people hurting for money. We just went through a great big, huge property tax fight in Jackson County. And here you guys are giving away property taxes. Well, I don't know about the rest of the people in this room or this community, but I'm tired of being the only one paying taxes. These businesses with rich money, deep pockets, and people that live outside the city, we give them money. Why don't we give money to the people that live in the city? Why don't we support the businesses that are already here? Everybody thumbs their nose at small business. Well, I'll just let you guys know a little secret. Small business is what makes a city great, not big factories that move in and take all the money and move it out. You want the money in your city, you want your businesses in your city, and you want the people to spend the money in your city. All the profit that's going to be made in that center, the bulk of it is going to go out the door. And you guys are allowing it. That's it. That's good enough.
Thank you, Marion. Cecilia Jones, and then Maggie Robinson next.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Jones. I live at 2412 South Chrysler. I've been here about 25 years, moving from Kansas City, Missouri. There we go.
Thank you.
I can just put on a very loud voice, but I'm not against tech, mostly. My husband is actually involved in AI and tech and all of that. I know more about it than I ever wanted to, just because I have discussions all the time about tech. I hate it. It's here. AI is not going away. I hate to tell everyone this is what it is. It's set to decimate the middle class. It's still going to do that. It doesn't matter. It's not good for our psychology. We go on and on and on about the negative aspects of it. The changes in the AI industry are pointing, however, to data centers like this losing momentum. And I also have an issue, with, on Nebius's site, we talked about the water usage, but it's 1 million gallons per 200 megawatt system fill with a 20% replacement annually. That gets a little confusing. People hear one number, they don't really look at the 20%. You're also looking at we talked about this, the 400,000 to 640,000 recurrent use for their staff, the daily, everything. That's another use that, while comparing it to a school, I don't think is fair. Comparing it to a hospital isn't fair. Hospitals are needed, schools are needed. Those are necessary. Residents live here, we have to drink water no matter where we are. Then we look at the utility and power side. Now this is from Nebius's site. Deriving from IPL and the IPL participation in the Southwest Power Loop, okay? IPL to deliver 200 megawatt in the second half of 2026 and launch a study to deliver 600 megawatt by early 2029. So doesn't seem like anything settled there. They're evaluating an on-site power generation solution. That doesn't mean that they have one, they're evaluating it. So it's not set, it's not done, they don't have everything in a row. Then we look at what's going on in the world of tech. DeepSeek is China's ChatGPT. DeepSeek 1 launched January 2025. The training costs, for however you want to do this, I don't know how many people want to get technical, but it's 1/100th of ChatGPT. They're expecting to drop DeepSeek 4 this month. That's going to be approximately what we're looking at in the industry is about 1/350th power used per token. That's 4 characters that you type in, 4 little letters. So you have this, you have DS4, DeepSeek 4, is using what they're projecting, what everyone is really expecting about this month, 40% of the power used. And the output is substantially greater than what we have now in the American company. And that answers more prompts. That's the things you put into it. So it's answering more with less power. These guys are building a very large site. What contingency clause do we have with any of this if it fails? Because technology is moving at lightning speed. This has to be looked at. And it has to be looked at all the way around. What are they going to go into? We know AI, that's what they're involved in. Projection is not real great when you're looking across the industry. They are looking at the possibility of failing. So what happens to the land after they fail? Somebody brings this up, and they talk about reforestation, and I'm not talking about if this or when this fails. 400 acres, how are you going to restore it? And it needs to be a restoration, not throwing grass seed and planting some little trees that don't belong here. It needs to be a native restoration, because that's what we're looking at.
You have 1 minute, ma'am.
Okay. The constructions are temporary jobs also. And as much as I support construction, my dad was in construction, those are still temporary jobs. And we're looking in Independence, because we live here, footing the bill for 20 years. I appreciate construction. We need it. We do need to grow. But there has to be a cost. There has to be looking at this from a broader perspective. I don't want my kids, my grandkids, to be handed a bill because we didn't think, we didn't use foresight.
Thank you. Maggie Robinson's next, and then Evan Glantz is next after that.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Maggie Robinson. I live in Eastern Independence. Really, I just have some bullet points I want to bring to the forefront again. I know you all have heard them a million times, but as many people have stated, we are not getting the answers to the questions. There's discrepancies in the information from Nebius as opposed to what's on the Independence website. My personal opinion, this data center should not be a quick fix for past financial mismanagement. Now, last week at our private meeting, Mayor, you stated that the city's budget is good. You know, we're not in a deficit. However, recently on the news, it was also stated that Independence could not negotiate with the fire department because there wasn't money in the coffers. Thus, we're looking at a 10% force reduction. At the same time, I hear, oh, well, the data center, we're going to open Station 8 or whatever, and the fire department's going to be on site to do that. So that doesn't make sense to me. It was also stated at our meeting last week by you, Mr. Mayor, that there's no number of voices of opposition that really matter in this decision. You stated, we voted for the city council, and the city council will vote how the city council wants. I find that disheartening. I find that disrespectful. As far as the community advisory board that was briefly touched on, again, if I remember correctly, it was a couple of city council members, maybe a couple of Chamber of Commerce people, and a couple of residents. I'm assuming, based on the information that we're not getting, there's not going to be any opposition voices in this community group. That's a concern. Without the environmental impact studies, why would you vote to approve any kind of tax abatement? Last I heard, Nebius is working on them. You know, there's a lot that Nebius is working on. I wish I shared, you know, the skilled trades optimism that, yes, this is going to be done with local union work. That's never been stated. I asked the Nebius representatives personally, they don't know. They couldn't tell. I said, well, tell me about the 125 high-paying tech jobs. Well, we don't know. I said, are they tech jobs? Well, no, they could be groundskeepers, they could be janitors. I know data centers don't employ 125 high-paying tech jobs, which takes me to the point of the STEM program that Nebius is, saying they're going to support Fort Osage and Independent STEM program. I love STEM. It's great. But the reality is, a data center of this magnitude is not going to employ the children coming out of high school with these great STEM, accolades. They're just not. It's going to be remote work, more than likely, in the Netherlands or Russia or wherever, because as we all know, the CEO was the founder of Yandex. He's Russian, Israel, and something else. It doesn't really matter. There's a lot of discrepancy. We've written to city council members, emails. Some of the responses that we get are a little saucy.
You have 1 minute, ma'am.
We have misinformation on the amount of water usage. It's touted 1.4 million gallons, but that's per 200 megawatts, and they're looking up to 1.2 gigawatts. I think it's important that the Committee of Foreign Investment needs to be informed, as this is being constructed 1.26 miles away from Lake City Munitions Plant. And I also think it needs to be checked into, I believe it's Missouri Statute 442.560 that states no foreign business can own farmland if more than 1% of the farmland is foreign owned. And I believe we currently sit at 1.3% in Missouri. I have much more. We're not going to get the answers. But please, don't talk down to us. I work in tech. I understand tech. I don't know what your backgrounds are outside of city council, but IT and AI, different animals. We don't need to be the flagship for the Netherlands, because frankly, if it was a good deal, Europe would build it there and they would be tooting their own horn. They wouldn't bring it to us as an experiment on the biggest AI data center in the country. Thank you. Listen to us and give us respect.
Thank you. Next up is Evan Glatz, and then after Evan is Lucinda Johnson. So, thank you, Evan, and please state your name and address, please.
Yep, Evan Glantz, 7215 Cambridge Avenue, St. Louis 63130. Good evening, Mayor and Independent City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Nebius's proposed data center development in the city. My name is Evan Glantz, and I'm the Director of Business Recruitment for Missouri Partnership, a public-private nonprofit economic development organization. Our mission is to attract new companies to Missouri and spur investment and job creation throughout the state. Today, the U.S. is in a race for AI dominance, and Missouri has an opportunity to play a key role in these efforts. Missouri Partnership is dedicated to working with data center partners who adhere to the highest standards. We believe that Nebius is committed to being a responsible and engaged community partner, as evidenced by the company's pledge to establish a community advisory panel and its investment in local STEM education and workforce development. We recognize that any major development brings questions and concerns. Our understanding is that Nebius is dedicated to working with experts and local stakeholders to develop robust mitigation plans and is conscientious of its responsibility to be a good environmental steward. Through a balanced approach, Independence can secure a transformational tech investment while safeguarding and enhancing the community's quality of life. This project represents a monumental opportunity for Independence and Missouri as a whole to become a national leader in the digital economy and a hub for technological innovation. Thank you for your time this evening, and we look forward to supporting a long, productive, mutually beneficial partnership between Nebius and the City of Independence. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Lucinda Johnson, and then Galen Sharp.
Hi. Good evening. Who are we? We are independent residents
And
that care.
Can you state your name and address, please?
Oh, Lucinda Johnson, 1218 South Cunningham Avenue. Who are we? We are independent residents that care deeply of our city and will not support a data center in our city. We feel as you as council have made decisions without letting us vote on what as residents want, and that we as residents have lived in this community and we as residents know what's best for this community. This data center includes heavy water and power uses, will make constant noise from cooling equipment, light pollution, and huge environment impacts. I feel that's not safe for our community. I stand with residents in this community and protect their rights in this community. Who do you stand with as the residents or a corporation? This is the city of our God, and it belongs to the people.
Thank you, Lucinda. Next up is Galen Sharp, and after Galen is Howard Huff.
My name's Galen Sharp. I'm at 11955 Whitehead Lane, Sumner, Missouri, out of resident. I'm here as a member of the electrical industry, construction industry, citizen of the state, here to talk about the tax incentive. Obviously, this building is going to get built. It's going to get built in Independence, Overland Park, Shawnee, Oklahoma. It's going somewhere. The city of Independence needs this. We need this in the state of Missouri. We need the jobs. I understand those are part-time jobs, if you want to call them that, construction. Every dollar spent, you're going to get 60 cents of that back to this city from the guys spending it, the taxes on their wages. There's a lot of reasons why you should have this. If you are against data centers, I'm hearing a lot of that. I'm not a big fan either, to be quite honest. It's going to happen one way or another. Would you rather have your kids trained in schools that have money to be able to go to the next generation? We don't need fork truck drivers and truck drivers anymore. We need AI, smart people. We have to have better schools. Your city needs better schools. But more firemen, I mean, you have to have that infrastructure. My only reason for being here is I don't want to see more projects going to Overland Park or Kansas. We need them in this state. Help us get these jobs here.
Thank you. Next up is Daniel Moorhead and then Gail Hurst. Oh, excuse me, Howard, please come forward. Thank you. And it was my mistake, so please forgive me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Howard Hoff. I live at 400 North Bly Road. I don't know if y'all have been out there on that road or not, but I would invite all of you and anybody in here to come and stand in my front yard, because I am literally 400 feet from where this thing is being built. And nobody on our street is happy with it. For one, we knew anything about it until the heavy equipment rolled in November to start doing the dirt work. Big hush-hush deal. Y'all are getting all of this money off of this data center, which is all great. Come up and buy us out, because we don't want to look out our front door for the rest of our lives at a data center. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Next up is Daniel Moorhead and then Gail Hurst.
Daniel Moorhead, 716 North Bly, so I live just a little ways away. First of all, let me just say that I really appreciate that you're all sitting up here patiently going through all of this, because that's a lot of work that you guys are doing. I've appreciated the one-on-one conversations I've been able to have with several of you. Look forward to more of those, because again, me yelling into a Facebook page probably doesn't help a whole lot of that. I think we can squelch any belief that politics is over in Missouri. I look around and I want to say that I appreciate people on both sides of this aisle thinking enough, caring enough that they come out here and have this conversation. Love your neighbor is not just a Christian ideal, it is the basis for all that we do in our neighborhood, city, and state. It is the basis for much of our common law-derived constitution. It is the reason that every person has value as they are made in the image of God. This has immeasurable value far beyond dollars. Nebius is a foreign-owned entity worth more than $26 billion and not a locally owned business in the United States, let alone Missouri or Independence. Why should any taxpayer anywhere provide incentives to this? In a recent meeting I had, a councilperson said that if Nebius went bankrupt, they'd be responsible to return the site to an unimproved state. When pressed on what would happen if they could not for any reason, then the state of Missouri would, was the comment. With all due respect, that is still taxpayer money and not free money. Therefore, our taxes would theoretically be double dipped, while the good neighbor, foreign-owned corporation would not lose anything. If we are to give any incentives or concessions to any company, let alone a company that will be largely end its infusion into the community's employees at the end of construction, even though we have no guarantee that those that stood up earlier will be given a job, nor the local unions, despite Nebius's promises, there should come with it massive skin in the game from the multi-billion-dollar company. If our water, our land, our air, our peace, and our finances, no matter where they exist in Independence or nearby, is affected as a direct or indirect result of this monstrous project, why would we subsidize any part of it? For the nearby residents alone, it could have two hits, one on taxes as well as one on their well-being. The moral good iterated here tonight pales in comparison to the dumbing down AI does to the average person. In a recent study from MIT, 95% of the value that any corporation would get out of AI gets lost. It doesn't actually return an ROI. I would ask the average skilled laborer, who I respect for what they do all the time, and I do, once the building is done, what value do AI personally provide you? We cannot count on this volatile market, a market that is showing gaps, as OpenAI alone has lost over $1 trillion last quarter alone. In closing, I want to leave with a couple of key points. A data center in our backyard no more moves us forward technologically than Apple's manufacturing would improve the lives of those in the shadow of their buildings in China. Nebius has stated that they intend to provide jobs locally, but Nebius has no skin in that game. The temporary jobs provided outweigh the impacts to the local population. Tell that to my neighbors. The potential amount of money being thrown around should be a warning, but it is seen as a boon. Nebius is not altruistic. It has a financial gain in all of this. At no point in history has a government entity on their own merit reduced their draw to the taxpayer, only they increase it through taxes, levies, and mismanagement, as that will always overtake windfalls. Just ask anybody that's won the lottery. If we cannot stop this, I will, as a citizen of this community, continue to seek opportunities to continue to support mitigation of what I believe will be a net negative to our community.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. At least until I decide that Independence is no longer fit to be my home. I would like to get just the facts, but they keep changing. So forgive many of us if we are not feeling comfortable with certain people challenging that everything's a done deal. Not all community Facebook pages are equally moderated. The local citizens are getting whiplash from the speed with which this has come to our attention. Most of these people work all day long. They don't have time to sit through hundreds of documents to figure these things out. Why not slow down? Why not have better communication? When I attended the information session, the only notebook open to take notes was to ensure that Nebius's Mark Coulter, sitting here, could make sure that his information was good. But not one notebook was taken down any of my questions, even though I was promised we will take it back for better answers. In short, I hear the promises, and it sounds like we are about to make a few of our own to Nebius. But I, for one, am still in the show me mindset and need to hear better options coming from Nebius. Once again, I thank you very much for your time, your commitment, and I know what this means to stay away from your families and your other obligations.
Thank you. Next up is Gail Hertz. Okay. And please state your name and address, please. And then Michelle Dow, and then David Whipple will be next. So Michelle Dow, David Whipple will be next. Please proceed.
Good evening. My name is Gayla Hurst, and I live on Bunshoe Road, 4 houses away from Indian Trails Elementary. We bought our house in 1983. It was the only home that my children knew. I raised my kids in the Fort Osage School District. They graduated from there. They ran the trails, they ran the woods, and they will tell you it was the best growing up environment you could have. I worked for Fort Osage School District for 27 years in their finance department. And I'll circle back around to that at the end because I have a few things to say. I did the personnel budgeting for Fort Osage School District. I understand the money. I understand what it takes to take care of a school district. That's the majority of their budget, personnel. But first I want to talk about the things dearest to my heart. And first off, that's health. We live by an elementary school. I'm retired now. I hear the children's voices all day long. If you look on our Stop the Data Center, I don't know if you're involved, but I'm sure you could search. Fox 4 did an article on this and stated from a reliable source that Fox 4 vetted that there is no safe level of the chemical that comes from a diesel generator. No safe level. Not running for one day, not running for a few hours. Okay, that's certainly different than what we've been told. I personally have asthma. My children had asthma. I listened to little Eleanor and I wanted to cry. I'm sure there's doctors here. You know that asthma is on the rise and on the rise, and we're responsible for what we're doing to the air that our kids breathe. How many more little kids come in from recess grasping for air? I personally can't even, I don't know that I can live there and know that they're outside, and that's happening. My grandkids, do I let them play in my front yard? I don't really know. I don't think we've gotten good information. Number two, the noise. Noise can be a health issue. If that noise is a loud hum that I can hear 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that would be maddening. We are asking kids to go to school by that. We live on Bundschuh, less than 2 miles across the field from this center. I'm sorry, I don't know that we've gotten enough good information. The environmental concerns, my biggest concern is what if there is an emergency? Where does that water go? What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to the people that live there? Those fields flood all the time. I can tell you numerous times Bundschuh Road has been flooded. You couldn't even drive because the fields flood. So what do we do when it's too late? I deplore you. We need an independent study. I don't just want information from Nebius. We can all look up sources, and who's to say who's right and who's wrong? Going too fast doesn't feel right. I'm also going to say to you from my finance side, you're going to tell me there's more money to schools when you're giving a tax abatement? Now, first off, this project sits in the Fort Osage School District. So Independence is not going to benefit off the property taxes their levy or their bonds because it's in Fort Osage. So that's all well and good. The money that they may get, that 10%, I'd like to know some figures on that, but I truly question that that's going to make a huge budget impact. I've heard STEM numbers. That's a different story. What we haven't talked about here is what happens when all our property taxes go down. Fort Osage just doesn't lose on that 10%. They lose on their entire bond and levy of the evaluation of the properties that those assessments are on. Are we ready to say 10 years from now, Fort Osage is losing money because we've all moved? Or we can't sell our homes? Sorry, the assessment on those homes is based on sale value. I don't think it looks very good for us. So I want to speak on behalf of the community that I've lived in, the community I worked in, and all my neighbors.
You have 1 minute,
Please
ma'am.
slow down. To not slow down and get us more answers and facts seems callous to the whole community, and sorry to my neighbors on Bly Road, it seems cruel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
I just want to announce that the paper towels and toilet paper in the women's bathroom has been replenished.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that. I know, and I'm sympathetic, and so.
Only a little bit do you understand.
That's. And now we'll move on. I was just trying to add some levity. That's all I was trying to do. Michelle, the floor is yours. You have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address, please.
Thank you. My
Thank
name
you.
is Michelle Dowell. My address is 20902 East 15th Street South, Independence, Missouri. I am actually probably a half a mile from where this data center is going to be put up. I came in here and I was going to speak from the heart, and I think all these people have already been doing that. What I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty of the questions that need to be answered. I feel like there's been a huge lack of transparency. I'm just going to go ahead and start. Basically, what chemicals, if you could all list them specifically, are going to be used for the cooling, the fire suppression, and water treatment, and which of these could enter into the air? Soil or groundwater during leaks, blowdowns, or emergencies. Next one, if power demands spikes during extreme heat or cold, will residential customers face higher rates or rolling outages to prioritize the data center? If residents' rates rise, will Nebius agree to pay the difference to residents? What is the continuous decibel level at the nearest homes in the schools? This is a big one because I've heard lots of different numbers. Vibration, light pollution, and air emission near similar facilities? If not, why? If so, can they release these numbers to the public, please? How many permanent local jobs will exist once the construction ends, and how many require advanced degrees not accessible to most residents? Can there be a guarantee that a percentage will go to the local residents? Can you tell us specifically what kind of jobs are available and what the salaries will be? What is the actual tax revenue to Independence after abatements? Infrastructure costs, utility upgrades, and long-term maintenances are deducted. If this project...
Can you do that one? I didn't understand that. Could you slow down just a little bit and say
Yes,
that one more
sir.
clearly, please? Thank
What
you.
if the actual, what is the actual tax revenue to Independence after abatements? Infrastructure cost, utility upgrades, and long-term maintenances are deducted. Next one, if this project expands beyond current plans, which data centers often do, will Nebius commit to a public vote before any expansion, or are they just going to continue on and do what they want to do? Will Nebius legally guarantee by contract that water will never exceed the fixed cap, even during heat waves? If this facility causes surrounding homeowners' insurance rates to rise, property values to drop, and other potential health impacts, including mental health impacts, will Nebius compensate residents? I believe that's a big one because we still don't even know what the studies are on this, and it's just, excuse me, would Nebius agree to shut down or curtail operations if independent monitoring found harm to nearby homes, schools, or the Little Blue ecosystem? If residents do file complaints about the noise, vibration, light, or other health impacts, how soon will these complaints be addressed? How will they be addressed? Will there be transparency there? Can Nebius explain why a project this capital-rich requires decades of tax abatements and whether they would proceed without them? Who pays for the decommission and remediation of the facility if it is abandoned, downsized, or sold, and how much money is in escrow today to guarantee that? What specific risk does Nebius acknowledge this project poses? Can Nebius tell residents of Independence which companies specifically that they will be working with? Can the sunshine request filed by our group, Misty Vaughn, be completed in a timely manner before a vote on Chapter 100? The sunshine request includes information about Nebius and North Point development, but is expected after the vote.
You have 1 minute, ma'am.
Would Nebius agree to fines tied to daily operating revenues, not flat fees, if they exceed the water usage, decibels allowed, or energy usage they've stated, and can this be written into a binding agreement? Will Nebius agree to release the full unredacted contract and all related agreements with the City of Independence before any final approvals, including the permit and Chapter 100, are voted on? Yes or no? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is David Whipple, and then Jill McCarthy will be after David. And you have 5 minutes, David, and please state your name and address, please.
Thank you. David Whipple, 18801 East 32nd Terrace Court South, Independence, Missouri. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. When I came here, I was not planning on speaking. And even as I've listened to all the comments, I was debating, is it really worth it? I think my comments, to be quite frank with you, is an exercise in futility. I think each one of you have already made your mind up. I think the things we're saying right now are falling on deaf ears. You're so beholden, this city council is so beholden to corporate interest. You've sold your souls to them. It doesn't matter what us as citizens and as constituents that have elected you to the city council think or say or want to do. You're just beholden to the dollar. You see those big dollar signs with regards to these corporations that they throw out at us and try to make it sound like that this is going to be a fantastic deal for us. But we don't know that. And we've seen examples of this so often in the past with regards to the big developers that come in and promise the moon, but then what happens? I've spoken before this council before, and it fell on deaf ears. I spoke most recently again back when the Eastgate Center was done, and all the big things, the big plans that was going to be for that. And so what's happened to that? You've got two ginormous warehouses that are sitting there basically empty. And so it just seems to me that you really need to think with regards to who is it that your best interests are. Is it for these corporations, or is it for the citizens that elected you? And I'll tell you, another big issue I have, and kind of related to that, is why do we want to give these tax breaks to billionaires, billionaire corporations? You know, why? Why do we do that? And have them be able to make all these promises, which it's highly unlikely that they're going to actually ever keep. But yet we've got our individuals, our families, our people that are struggling in this city trying to pay their own property taxes, but we're turning around and giving these big corporate billionaires tax breaks so that they don't have to pay the taxes. And I think that several comments have been made with regards to the temporary nature of this. I'm an attorney, and over the years, I have represented union labor interests. I've represented local unions on arbitrations and grievances. I've represented them on contract negotiations. I've represented them in front of the National Labor Relations Board. And we've had lots of issues with regards to big corporations and when it comes to promises they keep. I raise the question, and brethren, I support you 100%, but is there a collective bargaining agreement in place with this corporation? Do you know that there are going to be union jobs? I seriously don't believe. I cannot believe a company from the Netherlands would hire union labor. In fact, if you look at their history, that's been one of the big complaints when they've done other projects, is that they don't hire local. They don't hire local people. They bring people in from outside the area. So there's just a lot of promises that I don't think are going to be met. They're going to be kept, and I think it's something that one of the things that really gets me going is on the fact that we're trying to offer them a tax break.
You have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. If we're going to let them build it, let them pay for it on their own dime. Don't let us, as citizens of this community, have to pay for it. It's something that, and part of the transparency is that I like doing triathlons. So I run out on the Little Blue Trace. I ride out on the Little Blue Parkway. I ride my bike up Blue Hill, Bly Hill. And the first I ever became aware that anything was going on was sometime last fall, whenever this big construction equipment showed up out there. and started doing the land. And by that point in time, it looked to me that it was a done deal. So I just wanted to speak my mind. I know it's probably not going to do a bit of good, but I appreciate the opportunity to come and to share my thoughts with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is Jill McCarthy. And Jill, you'll have 5 minutes, and please state your name and address, please. And then next up is Hannah Albina, I believe it is, and then Catherine Alexander.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jill McCarthy. I'm with the Kansas City Area Development Council. My address is 30 West Pershing Road, Kansas City.
Excuse me just a second.
Yes.
Can I get the comments in the back of the room to, if they can take it in the hallway, please? David, if you need to talk, can you go in the hallway, please? Thank you. And we'll start over, and you can start from the top. Thank you.
Thank you again. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Jill McCarthy. I'm with the Kansas City Area Development Council. My address is 30 West Pershing Road, Kansas City, Missouri. KCADC is a regional economic development organization. We work on competitive projects that could locate anywhere around the world to help bring that investment into the Kansas City region. We cover 18 counties and 50 plus cities in the bi-state area. We've had the opportunity to work with Nebius, and this project does represent a significant opportunity for both the City of Independence, but also for the greater metropolitan area. This project directly supports accelerating the growth in digital services, cloud computing, and advanced technologies. Those are the things that increasingly drive our economy today. Data centers as a whole are critical infrastructure, and I think a lot of times people think about it as social media, your email, streaming services, but they also are critical and are the backbone of the economy, providing resilience and security when it comes to defense, education, financial services. It is emergency services, healthcare, and then of course the rapidly expanding global AI network and that race within. This is an ecosystem shaping moment that advances local innovation, talent, and industry strengths. Our team at KCADC is proud to partner with the City of Independence, the Independence Chamber of, and the Independence Chamber Economic Development Partnership, State of Missouri, the Missouri Partnership, with North Point Development, and Nebius on this impactful project. We appreciate the city's leadership and look forward to collaboration and advancing these next steps together. Thank you.
Thank you. Hannah Albina, and then Catherine Alexander.
Hello, my name is Hannah Albina, and I live at 3514 South Liberty Street. In 20 years from now, my son will be 26 years old. That's only 2 years younger than I am as I stand before you today. I have no idea what the world will look like within that vast amount of time. I can't imagine how different things will be. It's too difficult to conceptualize. But I do know the choices that we make today will shape his future and the generations to come. I work at a native plant nursery. I love our natural world and the living creatures who we share it with. My family spends a lot of time outside, and I teach my son to respect nature and admire its beauty as it is ever-changing. I've heard sentiments from big tech companies expressing the need to build these large-scale data centers and trying to justify the massive energy consumption and other environmental impacts they cause, arguing that artificial intelligence will help us solve the climate change crisis. I have also heard multiple members of this council state that this particular data center will be different. It will be safe for neighboring residents because they promise to abide by the Missouri DNR standards, as well as the federal environmental standards. Now, this is concerning. The United States has loosened and nearly removed all guardrails and safety standards involving power production and the use of fossil fuels. Building these unsustainable natural gas-powered turbines will set us back dramatically in our goal of reaching net zero. I'm sorry. We do not need AI to solve the climate crisis. We already know how to make impactful changes towards a healthier planet. Using fossil fuels in new power production and trying to sell it as clean and sustainable is irresponsible. Council members have stated, and I quote, they spend thousands of hours reading the EPA and Missouri DNR guidelines to make educated decisions on developments of this magnitude. I have also spent much of my spare time reading and researching this topic. And from my understanding, this development is being pushed through strictly for short-term gains and no real considerations for our future. I have heard council members say things like, we have to put a degree of faith in what our federal government and our state government says relative to what can be done in an industrial setting like this, in response to nearby citizens' questions and concerns surrounding the health impacts of this project. We cannot afford to put the health of our planet on the back burner any longer. We cannot afford to keep passing the ball to the next generation with the assumption that someday it'll just get better. In 20 years from now, my son will be 26 years old. I'm sorry. And in 20 years from now, I hope that our city will have clean, breathable air, and clean, drinkable water. Not just for people, for animals too, as we share this land with them. Although it seems like your minds have already been made up, I still came here today to urge you all to vote no on the tax incentives for this project, and to tell you that our journey and community involvement will not stop here.
You have 1 minute, ma'am.
We need real regulations and legislation surrounding these projects moving forward. We deserve the right to vote for these projects of this magnitude. The residents of Independence, Missouri are strong. We know what our community needs, and we will fight for our future and our children's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Catherine Alexander.
Catherine Alexander, 3427 South Hardy. That's Western Independence, of course. And I am so grateful tonight that I didn't buy a house in Eastern Independence, because usually I'm sorry I bought one in Western Independence. So I came up here for years begging for more police protection. That has gotten a little bit better. We're about 4 new chiefs in, and I don't know who the new one is, but they do come, and I think that's great. It took 3.5 years for somebody to put a drain in across the street so my basement wouldn't flood and my neighbor's basement wouldn't flood, but I guess bulldozers are quicker in different places. So you know I have to say something to you. How can that possibly be that the bulldozers are already been working and we're still here talking? That sounds strange, an odd thing. The other thing that I would say is that people from the Netherlands are very good at technology because they don't have a 4-day school like we have that I don't have a choice about. I pay property taxes. I have no choices. I just pay, pay, pay. When I can't afford IPL anymore and I go in and I say, wow, this is pretty high, they say, go over to CSL. Well, if you don't want people to be homeless, please stop taxing and powering us out of our homes. Every week I look to see, is there a magic real estate deal so I can end this nightmare? And the first thing I'm going to do is look for the biggest investor I can to sell out to an investor to get a top dollar. and that will turn it into rental property. And I hate that because my neighbors are good people. But they're gonna move pretty quickly. There's 3 of them moving, and the house on the corner where the stop sign is, that's pretty low technology, but his house has been hit 7 times by flying cars, and we still don't have a stoplight. It is very well known to the officers that work on the street. No one has ever been arrested and actually charged and actually convicted. So if you cannot manage low technology, high technology can be more challenging. I'm not going to say a word about paper products. I think I've said all that I can say, but I just want to tell you, honestly, what's sad is that people keep saying that you act like we're stupid, and that different people that don't know each other keep saying that. That should be a clue. 20% of the city votes. I vote all the time, but only 20% does because they're so disenfranchised. That should be a clue. So I know everybody will retire and they'll scatter down to the lake or somewhere else and they'll live happily ever after. And I hope I do too. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed.
Wow, I don't think we've done this at 8:34 before. I move for the approval of the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Does anyone want to pull anything for separate consideration? Does anyone want to pull anything for separate consideration? Hearing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll on the consent agenda, please.
Councilmember Fears?
Yes.
Councilmember Perkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Councilmember Vaught?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes, the consent agenda is approved, 7 in favor, 0 opposed. That brings us to the regular agenda. We've got a public hearing. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
A public hearing for the application to rezone the properties at 724 and 726 North Nolan Road from C2 General Commercial to R12 Two-Family Residential, new information only.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Tom Scannell. I'm the Community Development Director. This application was considered by the Planning Commission at its January 13th Planning Commission meeting. They voted in favor of this application. This application is located along Nolan Road, just south of 24 Highway. The property owner wants to make improvements to the property as well as subdivide the property. It's currently zoned C2, which is our general business district, even though they are residential properties. So he is essentially correcting the zoning to match the use. Staff supported this application as well as Planning Commission. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Anyone, any further discussion or questions? Okay, that'll close this public hearing. Madam City Clerk, please proceed with 26014, please.
26-014, second reading, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District C2 General Commercial to District R12 Two-Family Residential for the properties located at 724 and 726 North Nolan Road, second reading.
Thank you. Any discussion on 26014? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Fears? Yes. Councilmember Perkins?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Councilmember McCandless?
Yes.
Councilmember Wiley?
Yes.
Councilmember Vaught?
Yes.
Mayor Rowland?
Yes. 26014 passes. 7 in favor, 0 opposed. This brings us to a full public hearing. I'll open this public hearing. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
A public hearing for the taxable industrial development revenue bonds for the Nebius project located at M78 and Little Blue Parkway. Full public hearing.
Good evening. David Martin with Gilmore and Bell. I serve as bond counsel to the city. This public hearing relates to the data center project that we've been hearing about tonight. I'll give you a few details on the project at a high-level view, and then the applicant has their own presentation that they're going to do after that. We can take questions either after my presentation or after the applicant's presentation, or both. So the data center campus that we're talking about is to be located at and around 501 North Bly Road. It is approximately 398 acres of property that we're talking about being affected. The real property improvements that are described in the Chapter 100 plan are estimated at 2.1 million square feet of enclosed space and personal property that includes data servers, specialized mechanical, HVAC, cooling equipment, and other specialized data center support equipment. The investment is approximately $150.6 billion, with 6.6 of that being related to the real estate and the remaining $144 billion being related to the personal property investment. The incentives include abatement on real and personal property and sales tax exemption on construction materials that altogether comes in a little over 90% abatement for the project. Some of the numbers that relate to this, the total payments that are anticipated if full build-out is achieved, and this is payments in lieu of tax to be shared by the city and the other taxing jurisdictions, are estimated at $651 million. The total abatement that results from that, again, based on an assumption of full build-out, are approximately $6.6 billion. The savings as a percentage of overall investment, due to the extreme nature of this investment, are actually somewhat low compared to other incentive programs that have been granted and come in at approximately 4.4% of the total investment. I do want to talk about a few protections that we have built into the leases that are part of the ordinance that you're considering and that are not common for Chapter 100 projects, because we normally don't deal with this particular type of project or this scale of project. So some of those special provisions are, and they're built into the lease in a manner that non-compliance with these provisions becomes an event of default under the lease, which could then result in a loss of the tax abatement to the company. So some of these items are city code provisions, but we have additional enforcement through that ability to declare an event of default under the lease. So the first is the cooling systems have to be closed loop or a similar technology that does not continually draw off of the city's water system. The second is that the project has to comply with the city code provisions related to noise and light pollution. Additionally, the company is required to comply with its electrical services agreement with the city, is required to deposit $2.5 million into an account that the city can use for repairs and improvements to Little Blue Parkway, which is in line with some of the other requirements for the larger development of the entire Little Blue Parkway area. The company must conduct regular meetings on a quarterly basis for the first 5 years and an annual basis thereafter, with a citizen advisory board to be appointed by City Council. And finally, decommissioning of the site must occur within 2 years after cessation of operations of the data center usage. And again, I'd be happy to take questions now, or we can wait until after the applicant does their presentation.
Anyone have any questions? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Bell, I was confused by the 4.4%. Help me follow through on the math.
That's taking the $6.6 billion total anticipated incentive and dividing that by the total investment.
Okay.
So by the $150.6 billion investment.
Okay, so 4.4% of the total investment.
Correct.
Okay, following you there. And can you also talk a little bit about decommissioning and what is required in decommissioning?
Sure. So the decommissioning requirement is that they return any data center specific improvements to Greenfield. So obviously large enclosed square footage can be used for quite a number of purposes, including the other industrial uses that we're seeing go up in that area. So it's not tearing the buildings down, it's removing cooling systems and other data center specific improvements.
Okay, so it would remain as a developed site for redevelopment.
Correct.
Okay. And what are the responsibilities from the regular quarterly meetings reporting back to the city council?
So essentially, it would be a public meeting, so you would have the ability to view it. And the purpose of it is it requires that the company send a company representative to take the results back to the company. Now, there's not a binding requirement of implementation of any specific suggestions, but at least they're hearing what the public has to say about how they're implementing the project.
And will there be information that comes back to the city council? Can we make that a requirement?
We can. It is not in there currently, but if that's the desire of the dais, and I'll take instruction from city staff on working on that provision. It would have to be negotiated with the applicant, but it is possible.
And I'm sorry to give you stump the chump questions that are engineering in basis, but one of the requirements is that they have a closed loop system. And so closed loop means there's no water discharge from the closed loop system. So it's not putting water back into our wastewater system. I'm just making sure I understand that correctly.
So I don't know the specifics of how often a closed loop system has to be refilled. I'm sure there's some water loss that occurs with that. I'm just not an expert on what the discharge requirements would be for that type of a system.
That was unfair to ask our bond counsel, so thank you.
Anyone else? Other further questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed.
Mr. Martin, can you talk a little bit more about the decommissioning? I know that you gave some conversation to that. So decommissioning, if it needs to be, buildings stay vertical, the technology within the buildings are removed. Is that what we consider decommissioning?
Correct. So again, it's decommissioning of the data center specific improvements and returning it to greenfield if it is a outside of building improvement or installation, or just removal if it's inside of the building, so that you're left with something that can be marketed for a different purpose.
Is there any money in escrow for that?
We do not have that currently built into the leases.
Okay. Is that abnormal to be built in?
It is not abnormal to have an escrow.
Mr. Mayor, if I can continue.
Please.
For an escrow amount, what's the typical percentage, if you will, that would go into an escrow account? Is it percentage of the total build, or?
So it can be based on a percentage of the build. It can be in the form of a bond that they have to put up in order to cover what the anticipated costs are. We haven't really pursued that road, so if we were going to do that, we'd have to get into the specifics then.
Sure, fair enough. Thank you.
Anyone else? Other further questions? Please proceed.
Mr. Martin, question regarding the potential, let's say Nebius decided to sell the property or to sell the data center with all the assets. Does that then, do all these requirements then transfer over to the new owner?
That's correct. So any owner that wanted to take advantage of the tax abatement would have to comply with all of the same requirements that we're building into the lease for Nebius. They would have the ability, either Nebius or that subsequent owner, to terminate the abatement. It would go back on fully taxable under the tax rolls at that time, and they would be released from those lease provisions. Now they would fall back on city code and other applicable law.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Other further questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed.
Mr. Martin, you've been our barn council for quite a while. Minus the size and scope of this, obviously, the scale is just a little bigger than what we normally do. Is this anything out of the ordinary that we are currently looking at? And I say currently, you don't have to give specific numbers, just overall, is this anything out of the ordinary? Nolan Fashion Square comes to my mind. That's a $100 million project that we are still in talks, and we've had study sessions through the summer. And part of that, I believe, some Chapter 100s. But in general, is this something that is so out of the ordinary that you're used to working with us on?
No, it isn't. So legally, this is the same as several other projects that the city has approved and is considering. It really is just size and scope. That's the difference.
Thank you.
Anyone else have further questions?
Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed.
Mr. Bell, can you just, for some folks that may not be familiar with, tax incentive plans like this, can you just speak in general about the purpose for them and why cities are asked to do this kind of thing, just in a real general way, just because some people may not be completely familiar with that?
Sure. So for any number of reasons, a city may want to provide a tax abatement incentive to attract a certain type of business or development. And that can be anything from trying to attract workforce housing or luxury apartments to your community, trying to attract a business that provides a certain level of employment at a certain rate of pay, or a business that provides other perceived benefits to the community. So Chapter 100 is a very commonly used Missouri tool, not the only tool, but probably the most popular at this point to provide tax abatement. It has the ability, unlike the other tools, to provide both real and personal property abatement and also the sales tax exemption on construction materials.
Anyone else have further questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
thank you. I just want to be sure I read all painstaking 238 pages of the material that we were supplied for this contract. And in there repeatedly, it says that the city will owe no debt and will guarantee nothing on the project. I just want to make sure that I read that correctly.
Yes, that's correct. So all of these Chapter 100 plans and implementation documents that you have approved and implemented, and all of them that you will see, state specifically that it is not an obligation of the city to make a payment on any of the bonds. Additionally, this type of transaction, the bonds are not used to provide project financing. That's done on a private basis, and the city will not back any private financing related to these projects.
So if the development fails, the cost is all borne by the company.
If the development fails, the company will lose money in its investment, and also whatever banks or other lenders that provided project financing will lose money as well, but not the city.
Okay,
In
thank you
terms
very
of
much.
direct investment or payment on debt.
Thank
So
you.
certainly tax revenues may be affected.
Anyone else have further questions? Okay. And then I think we've got a presentation next. Is that correct?
We do.
Okay. Thank you.
Apologies. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I am trying to get the slideshow to restart or start.
There you go.
Thank you. Good evening. Mark Coulter with Rouse Fretz White Goss. Our address is 801 East 47th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. I am happy to stand up here as local counsel for Nebius and give you an update on the project. I know that there are a lot of questions flowing around. I am very happy to get into a little bit more detail on Chapter 100 from our side, but also give you as much of an update on the development plans as possible. I would like to also start out by introducing Chris Patterson with Arco Construction. Arco was chosen as our local GC last week, and I'm also happy to announce that they are currently in negotiations with Luna on a labor harmony agreement. So I think that will hopefully set a number of concerns to rest.
GC means
General contractor, yes. And as a former GC, which was general counsel, thank you for asking for the clarification on that. We've gone through a lot of these talking points before, but I specifically wanted to update you on a number of them. This chart illustrates how we do operate a little bit differently. A lot of the confusion between data centers and AI factories is storage versus computing use. With the way Nebius is structured, we actually provide AI computing tokens. I think one of the citizens testified to. to the users, whereas in a traditional data center, the information is stored on site. There's nothing stored here. That impacts not only the function, but also the power consumption, how things work in an emergency. There's been a lot of concern about generators running if there's a power outage. In an AI factory, the generators only need to run for a short amount of time in order to provide a structured power down. If anybody has ever lost a computer at home during a power outage, it's exactly that situation. When you have multiple billions of dollars worth of GPUs at risk, you want to make sure that you're able to shut them down until the power is restored. That is very different than from a normal data center. I apologize, I don't mean to keep looking up. I'd rather look down, but I can't find the mouse. So I'm happy to answer any more questions on that rather than continuing to look up and read the screen. But I'd like to go through, as I said, the delivery team, we're very happy. Chris, did you stand up earlier? Introduce Chris with Argo, and then if everybody who is already contracted with, the crowd is thinned out a little bit, but I believe that we have a number of union contractors who are already under contract with ARCO for the project. So we are at approximately 70%. I know that's being worked on and discussed. But we feel good about the local commitment that Nebius is making, both to the labor force, the workforce, and then the long-term commitments. There's been a lot of questions as to why Independence was originally chosen. Frankly, I had that same question when I was engaged. But when the project site was explained to us, the history with North Point, having a wonderful resource like Bill Moore with our firm, who was able to give us quite a bit of background on Independence history, this site has been identified for industrial growth for many years, apparently. So when you look at projects like this, you want to go someplace where it makes the most sense. We are continuing to operate transparently, listening and assessing community needs. We understand there is some frustration. The answers aren't always the same. For example, on the cooling systems, the amount of water used. As I've explained multiple times, we are still in development, we are still in design. There are a number of different cooling options that are available. Some might use 1 million, some might use 1.4 million. At the end of the day, they're still closed loops. And we are in discussions with the city. The city staff has indicated they would like to sell us the water. We would like to buy the water, but it will need to be treated. The alternative is we could purchase the water somewhere else, bring it on site, treat it, use it in the closed loop system, and any flushing that needed to happen could be drained into a tank and taken off site for proper disposal, following all EPA guidelines, following anything that's required. So there are some significant differences, but we are, once again, trying to listen as much as we can and adapt our plans to meet the community's needs while still meeting the underlying business purposes of Nebius. Here's an updated site. Phase 1 is what we are contemplating within the first 12 months, assuming the project is approved. It is a one-story, I think, one-story AI factory. The other buildings are proposed to be 2, so they're approximately the same size. But we are going to move at the speed at which the power can be produced. And as a reminder to everybody, the power being produced is being paid 100% by Nebius. This is underwriting the power expansion. And what we're seeing in not only the AI field, but also the data center is, in order for these projects to be constructed, they need to bring their own power. That's exactly what we're doing here, whether it's through IPL or through on-site generation that have to follow all of the requirements, federal, state, and local government. Again, these are the same pictures. I will say, when we had our feedback in a vote, number 3 received the most votes. It is the plain concrete building. That was a little disappointing, but I would imagine there will still be some design standards put into place. And not only with the design standards, actually, if I can go back, what you see at the bottom is some proposed sound wall options. What's being done, we're currently still undertaking the noise study. That's been delayed a little bit, but at the end of the day, we're still required to follow city code. And we will meet the city's code as required. Some of these things cannot be figured out until it's there, until it's tested, and then we might have to construct the required options to stay within code. But as Mr. Martin indicated, and as has been stated before, we need to stay within city code in order to continue operations. If we do not stay within city code, not only can you shut down operations, but you can also remove the tax abatement, and which is significant in this situation. So this is two checks that the city has, that the city government has on private industry, which don't always exist. Normally, when somebody owns a business, they can operate it, they stay within codes, everything is copacetic. When you get to a situation like this, when there is so much public interest, when there is so much cooperative partnership with the city, we understand you need to put a few more safeguards in place, and we readily accept them. Lighting is another one. There's been a lot of questions. We're still in the design, but it goes back to the same question. We have to follow code. In this situation, it's Chapter 14508. So we're studying that. We're designing our light plan to accommodate code, to be within code. This will be monitored by the city. Any complaints that come out, we will test it and make sure we comply. Power, water, air, those things have been discussed many times. I'm happy to continue discussing them if there are any questions. I could read this, or it is entered into the city record, so you will have it at your disposal. Again, the water system, it is low use. I was glad somebody did the research and found out we would be the 51st largest water user in the city during normal operations, notwithstanding the one-time fill for each one. There is a little bit of a runoff at the very beginning. You have to make sure that there are no contaminants, that there are no particles in it that could potentially harm the cooling system. But once it is full and it's capped, it remains full and capped. The loss is minimal to non-existent, and if there is a refill, it will be refilled under the same standards by which it was filled the first time.
Can we back up just to clarify a couple of things before?
Yes.
Can you go back to your slide? I want to be sure that we use the correct term, and it isn't runoff, it's flushing the system, right? Because it
Yes.
isn't running off into a creek.
There's
or,
flushing, yeah, no, any runoff would be your standard piece of property runoff. The water use that you're talking, you're referring to would be within the cooling system. That is not runoff, correct?
Okay. And so the detention pond is just for draining the parking lot and the roof and the ground around it, but it won't be receiving anything from the cooling system?
Correct, no,
Okay.
nothing from the cooling system. Absolutely nothing from the cooling system. Those detention ponds in large industrial parks actually are turning out to be quite pleasant amenities if you can have them in an industrial park. If you've ever been up to where the KC Current facility is, that's a North Point development around that, a lot of heavy industrial. There are some beautiful water features there. As I've dropped off my daughter and watched her practice soccer, I looked out over a nice little pond that had great plants growing around it, great native plants.
When you talk about treating water, it isn't that it's going to be chemically treated, it's that it's essentially turned into pure water, so it's distilled.
It is demineralized.
Okay.
As it was explained to me, the chemical composition is more akin to dish soap than anything else, and dish soap is regularly discharged.
So-
But this would not be discharged.
Okay, so two separate things. One is treating the water to make it basically distilled water, so that
Correct.
it's demineralized, and the second is the dish soap that they add to the system so it doesn't grow any bacteria or algae. Okay, making sure
Correct.
I follow along.
No.
And then the other, can you go back to your photograph or picture of the design? Next one. Yes.
Mhm.
You said these are one story.
The phase one is one story.
Okay, and phase two is 2 stories?
The future phases are anticipated to be 2 stories each.
Okay, thank you.
And still would have to comply with all codes, obviously, and those same restrictions on compliance would apply to all subsequent phases.
And on your noise plan, it isn't just that we can sue you or put you out of business, but we have an intermediate step of forcing additional walls, barriers, vegetation, so that we can block and mitigate sound
Absolutely.
before we would have to pull the big trigger?
We will want to rely on code, exactly. We have a lot at stake. There's quite a bit of capital outlay in this, so we want to make sure it maintains, operational standards, and part of that is operating within code. So yes, if it comes out and the tests are come back a little high, we have already started testing. We will have to continue to test, and frankly, you won't be able to test completely until operations are up. I am not an acoustician, but I grew up singing, so I understand a little bit of acoustics, and noise is somewhat predictable, but you don't know what it will do until it's being put out at the exact right spot. So that is something we will continue to monitor and ensure compliance.
Okay, so testing, reporting back, reporting to staff, and then we have the option to require additional prevention of noise moving toward the community.
If we are not within code, we will require it of ourselves in order to maintain compliance with code.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Community benefits, obviously we've already talked about the educational outreach. One of the many questions that have come back up is the number of jobs. We are looking at 130 high-tech jobs. I ran the average salary today myself, so it was a lawyer doing math, take it for what that's worth, but it's approximately $95,000. I think the lowest was $60,000 and the highest was $120,000. So when you balance it all out, give or take, the first phase will be 43, so a larger number of employees will be hired in 43. But the reason we did it this way is we understand that with our educational outreach, we will be training the local students, whether they be at the high school or Metropolitan Community College level, to be able to qualify for these high-tech jobs. We want to hire local. It makes sense. You don't want to hire in somebody, and these aren't jobs that can be done remotely. They have to be done in person. So obviously the initial ones, if the workforce is local and they are qualified, excellent. It's going to take us a little while to partner with the schools, to partner with the metropolitan community colleges and getting people trained up, but we're committed to starting those training programs, starting those apprenticeships, starting those engagements that someday will not only employ people at this facility, but other facilities globally. So I think that's an important one. These are the numbers that are coming down as the project distills down as we get finalized. 130, it's 134, but 130 plus is what we're comfortable saying. 43 in phase one, and like I said, the salaries range from $60,000 to $120,000, various levels, and that is not including any temporary, part-time, or maintenance staff. Those are all directly related to maintaining and keeping the infrastructure running. Once they're employed, then Nebius has a good corporate policy of encouraging conservation, encouraging volunteerism. So those are 43 employees that, even if they move in here, they're going to become part of the community. They'll be doing their volunteer service days here. They're going to become part of the community. Because again, you don't invest billions of dollars in a community without thinking of its long-term need. That would be a very, very bad way to maintain relationships. Community engagement panel, we have had fantastic responses from the recommendations by City Council. We are working on gaining commitments from a few more people, but we anticipate that's going to be done within the next couple weeks. And then upon, if you so choose and support the project, then obviously we will start meetings once the project is awarded. But we've had great turnout, great responses, and we appreciate not always the yes votes, but the people who are going to be critical yet open-minded. That is very important to Nebius. We are not looking for just yes people. We want somebody who's going to push back and really represent the community. You've seen all of these before, but I always like highlighting them. It's not often where I get clients where they lead with, we want to engage with the education community. So as a former school board president of a very, very small school district, I understand, and they still are a four-day school district as well. So I understand the challenges. I understand it's on a much smaller scale than Independence, I'll be frank, but those problems are scalable. And so having a client that wants to partner with education like Nebius does is makes my job a little bit easier. Conservation, safety, and volunteerism. These are the pillars around which Nebius instilled me in day one when I went to work for them, and I'm happy to keep ringing their bell because, again, it's not very often that you have entities like this, structured like this. I think the discussion that was recently had with the mayor of Monsala, Finland, showed that they are a long-term partner there, and I think the mayor had some great things to say, and hopefully you all felt listened to and that your questions were answered as well. And with that, I will open myself up for questions, which I'm sure a few of you have.
Anyone have any questions? Questions? All right, I'm going to go with the first one. We had a lot of folks tonight that asked pages and pages of questions. I'd like to meet with you, go over the video, and make sure that all their questions are answered before we do this.
Absolutely.
And so I want that kind of commitment because they came here, they took their time to ask these questions, and they need to be answered, and I want to make sure that we take the time to do that. So
absolutely.
Before this meeting is over tonight, you and I will look at our calendars, we'll get together. I've got time tomorrow, I've got time Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll get together, and I want to make sure that that you meet with your folks, get the process going together, and to get those questions answered. So that's my biggest concern, is to make sure that we do that.
No problem.
Thank you.
Easy to do. Let's do that.
Mr. Mayor,
Please proceed.
can I jump on your coordinating of calendars possibly?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You can meet with us.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have you. I'll even buy the coffee.
Oh, well, hey, you got me.
Mr. Mayor?
Please proceed.
One of the things I'd appreciate is in the Chapter 100, it talks that the company is required to follow, makes sense, right? All the national, state, and local ordinances. I think it helps people if they get a sense, and you don't have to list every single one, but for example, like the Water of the U.S. review that had to be done when North Point put theirs in. So understanding what some of those gates are that are required by the company would just give a sense of, obviously you're going to have DNR has to sign off on air quality whenever you have diesel generators. That's one of the requirements. EPA has clean air standards. What does that mean? So I think some of those would be really helpful for people to understand where some of the safeguards are.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll work on that. A lot of that was done prior to Nebius acquiring the property.
Correct.
And something to keep in mind, this was a North Point property up until December. So any work done prior to December was North Point work. It was not on behalf of Nebius. Nebius just arranged for its contractor last week. That is when we selected. So all work done previously has been North Point doing it.
I'm asking sort of what are the ongoing responsibilities that Nebius has, and what are the responsibilities that we as a city have versus what are state and national? So
Understood.
I would appreciate those broken out.
Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
work on building that.
Anyone else have further questions? Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Talking about a foreign company, I would be remiss. I sit on the board of Fairmont Community Center, and one of the board members is actually the plant manager for Bayer Company. Bayer is home companies in Germany, and I would say that their input into Western Independence is great. Their financial contribution is great. And they are in Kansas City, but their reach, they have committed to work with us in Sugar Creek for years. So we do have working relationships with home companies in foreign countries. Just want to make that statement.
Anyone else have the further comments?
Mr. Mayor.
Please proceed.
So you are all in the design phase right now of the building, and you have to follow, knowing you're in the design phase, you have to follow our ordinances for noise, sound, and all those things. What's the timeline for that?
The design is nearing. I know they've discussed getting to work on some of the initial construction towards the end of this summer, if approved. The final design will probably go up until the last minute, and I know that they're discussing doing some prefab engineering work with some of the union contractors in the North Point buildings that are already in place. So I believe ARCO is looking at utilizing some of those buildings. So if they're empty now, they won't be empty for long. Because our general contractor will be using them. The designs should be very in short order, and those will go to city staff for approval.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have further questions? Please proceed.
Mr. Mayor. So, one of the things that I've heard people ask about is, does the data center, will it emit anything into the air, into the And I just wanted to have you say that was not the case, because people, are hearing lots of different things, and I just wanted to have you, shed that confusion. So.
Yeah, there are no emissions from the chips. There are no emissions. There are no air emissions from the cooling system. Any on-site generation, obviously, as discussed, will need to fall within the standards. But ongoing day-to-day operations, it doesn't emit anything.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have further questions? Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you for your time. Thank you for consideration, and I look forward to setting up that time to get the questions answered.
Thank you. And this is a full public hearing, and so if anyone would like to come up and speak in favor of or opposition to the Chapter 100, you are free to come up now and do that. I'll make 3 calls. So anyone want to come forward and speak in favor of or in opposition to the Chapter 100, you can certainly come forward to do that. So please come forward, and please state your name and address, please, just like we did earlier. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Patricia White. I live in Independence, Missouri. I'm very much opposed of this data center. People say a lot of things, and you can't believe everything you read or hear. You're lining a lot of people's pocketbooks with this, and that's great. Do it in another city. We don't need it here. You can sit there and tell me it's not going to affect the water. I know different. You have machines. They're going to emit so much stuff in the air.
Patricia,
you come to me?
Okay. On this part of it, we had the opportunity to speak on a wide range earlier when the public comments.
I see.
On this part of it, we have to stay focused on, are you in favor of or opposed to the tax abatements in the Chapter 100? So you have to stay focused to the tax question that's before us right now.
Okay.
So I understand your position, and I know we talked in the hallway, but in this part of it, we have to keep the comments in favor of or opposition to or for information purposes only on the tax abatement question.
Could you explain the tax abatement, please?
Right, and I might have, thank you, if David could take he's going to just give a brief overview of what it did and how it works and all of that, so.
So the tax abatement specifically is the reduction of the real property and personal property tax burden by virtue of the abatement, which is that 90% abatement that we discussed, and then the exemption from sales tax of the purchases that are made for the construction materials that go into the project.
Right. Thank you. So the question we're having tonight is on the first reading is, the city and other cities give abatements to companies who come to cities asking to make an investment in their city and seeing if they can get a discount on their taxes. And that's really the question we're asking for tonight. And so feel free to address that question and speak in favor of or opposition to that.
To make it short and sweet, I'm very much against the data center.
Okay.
And everything that goes with it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You're
bet.
welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? And please state your name and address. And
Good evening. Chris Patterson, Arco National Construction, 5450 Northwest 40th Street, Riverside, Missouri. Obviously, just to make sure everybody understands from the tax abatement side, yes, there's the discussion on the abatement. I just want to let you guys know, like I said, we were just selected last week. We have so far selected 5 contractors. All 5 are local union labor. From a tax perspective, at your peak, you will have between 1,100 to 1,200 employees there daily during this construction phase. So obviously people coming in, spending money at restaurants, gas stations, whatever. Some are from over on the western side, Kansas, so maybe staying there on hotels. And this would be, with the 4 buildings, an approximately 7-year build out. So not only that, but he had mentioned the buildings from North Point. I know they were mentioned earlier. Currently, we have a lease on one, trying to get a lease on the second. There will be approximately an additional 120 to 160 union employees there working around the clock in multiple shifts to go and do prefabrication, stuff that we can go and do and kit together, fab together, and then use there. So just from a tax perspective, there is a lot of stuff happening there besides just that Chapter 100, and I just wanted to go and make sure you guys were aware of that as well.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Council members, Mayor, I'm Valerie Burns. I live at 308 West Maple Avenue here in Independence. I am the president of the Independence Chamber of Commerce and the Economic Development Partnership. I would like to reiterate that North Point, when they came in, if we would recall, they did negotiate a blanket sort of situation in which Chapter 100 would be utilized as a tool for any of the industrial development happening out at Eastgate. So this is not a new tool for us. This is one that we consider for all economic development projects within the City of Independence. This is in no way corporate charity, as the payments in lieu of taxes far exceed what many communities may otherwise receive without such a project of this development. We are looking at a significant amount of money to our community, to our city, to our schools. The Chapter 100, if anything, ensures the ability to deliver on that by attracting this level of a development. Without this tool, this project does not exist. It's a critical tool in economic development across the state of Missouri. It's not unique to us. It is something that we all do to compete for projects of this magnitude. I assure you they looked at communities far and wide. The fact that they landed on Independence speaks volumes to you as a city, for IPL being our power producer, for being able to navigate a process of this magnitude. I commend you. I thank you for your leadership. Continue to use the tools in our toolbox to attract developments that can move the needle in Independence. Thank you.
Thank you. And please come forward and give your name and address, please. Thank you.
Robin Baker Bocary, 1109 North Farview Drive. I was going to ask, in the abatement, is there funding, or is Dibius going to provide security for the building, or are they going to hire off-duty police officers? Second, is there an allowance for a major incident? You know, I've worked with Bayer, with Sugar Creek and Independence, through FEMA, if there's a catastrophe. Is there money in the tax abatement for that and the agreement or whatever that you have now?
Okay. I don't know, but if you and I can talk afterwards, and I'll make sure that question gets asked to the folks.
Thank you.
And if you can, if you're coming forward, please speak in favor of or opposition to, or for information purposes only, with regards to the tax abatement. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Bailey Hodge. I live in the 3rd District in Independence. I'm a no for the tax abatement. As been echoed by many other people this evening, if Nebius finds Independence to be such a worthwhile place, they can pay the full price, including all the taxes. We don't need to be giving them a 90% break. The company just had their first quarter of profits, and they're still running at a loss. So that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
And please come forward and say your name and address, please.
Hello, my name is Andy Collins. I live at 806 North Arapahoe in Independence. I have lived essentially in the Independence all my life. I have to say no to the level of the tax abatement that you've got. I would not mind saying 75% would be more appropriate, and I'm sure a lot of the residents would feel better about that also. I'm sorry, that's a lot of money that we're forgiving, basically. And yes, I know they're going to pay some extra money towards our schools and things like that. But you're also talking about a lot of people that we don't get a tax abatement for our homes, and yet we get our raises, we get our interest, or not our interest, but our taxes raised frequently for our properties. I know that this is not a city thing anyway for property taxes, because most money doesn't go to the city. It goes to parts of the city or the schools and things like that. But it doesn't go to the city per se, generally. And I'd just say, I think 75 or even would be better than 90%, because that just doesn't sound realistic to me. I mean, that's a lot of money that we're giving away, and if they can't take 75%, well, maybe we don't need them that bad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Evan Glantz, 7215 Cambridge Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri. No opinion on the tax abatement, just want to maybe clear up some, or maybe reframe it a little bit, so that the tax abatement with Chapter 100, really this is on new tax revenue to the city. So it's not necessarily the city giving away money. Any of the tax revenue that would be coming in, however much abated, would be new tax revenue to the city. So again, just kind of reframing it.
Okay, thank you. This is the second call. Anyone want to come forward to speak in favor of, opposition to, or for information purposes only?
Lucy Young, 2320 Viking Drive, excuse me, Independence, Missouri. I hate to get up here again, but we need this tax abatement to go through. We watched the budget meeting the other day. We don't have people of major industry, major commerce beating down our doors. How many times have you turned on Facebook and seen all that comes to Independence are coffee shops and car washes? They will not pay the revenues in that we need. We absolutely must go forward with major projects that are going to not only help the citizens by filling that tax break or that tax gap, but also help our IPL with sales, with the pilots coming through, and with the water department with sales. Our assistant city manager had said, I'm just going to call you city manager, it's easier. Our city manager just had at a PUAB meeting that was held in October, I believe, where they talked about having to come at us with a water rate increase. And that was during the sewer discussions. If we have these additional sales, it will also help possibly stave off that water rate increase. And we know that people were very upset with the sewer. So please, I'm in favor of it. Vote to approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak in favor of or in opposition to? Thank you.
Hi, Rachel Gonzalez, resident of Independence. I am against the tax abatement because I'm wondering tax abatement at what cost? The cost of our health, the cost of our livelihoods, the cost of our property values. And there are still outstanding questions that have not been answered. And I don't believe that we should be voting on tax abatements for this company without those questions answered. One of the questions that one of our members said earlier today is a simple one that I think we could get an answer tonight, which is what chemicals will be used in the water? We're hearing soap, we're hearing salt, but can they specifically tell us what chemicals will be used in the water? And with that, if we could get some answers, maybe we all will feel better about this project. Thank you.
Evening.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Williams. I live at 26701 East Bunshoe Road. I'm totally against this abatement. I think 90% is way, way, way too much. The other gentleman said 75. If it was up to me, I'd say 50. And even that's too much. But yes, I am against it, mostly because it's just way too much money. And then I have one question. Why isn't Independence Power and Light represented here? This is all on them. Nobody's here.
No, we've got our director here from Independence Power and Light. And
Well, let's hear him talk.
Yeah. Well,
Let's hear him talk about it, because they're going to redo his plant. I know it's already got gas turbines, and I don't know what they're going to do to them because they didn't use them long enough to wear them out when they put them in the last time.
right. But we talked about that, maybe a month ago, month and a half ago. We actually had you come and do a presentation, if I'm correct, Joe, and you talked extensively about the contracts, the processes, all of that with it. Does anyone remember exactly what dates? That way you can actually hear from Joe, and he gives great detail. Do you remember the date on that, Joe, that you gave the presentation? December 8th?
It was December 8th, and I'm looking at the city's website on this project, and it's got a link to the presentation from the December 8th council or study session.
Right.
But you go back and look at it then.
Absolutely. But if you have further questions, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to chat with you.
And then somebody else did bring up another question there. In the case of a catastrophe of some kind, do they cut the power to that place first to make sure all the residents have power?
That's a great question.
I'm retired from gas service, from Spire Energy, and anytime in the winter, we'll say that Hawthorne or somebody was pulling gas from us, when it got real cold, they shut them off first. The residents never suffered.
Okay.
It was always the commercial was shut off first. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak in favor of, opposition to, or for informational purposes only? And this is the final and last call. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Yes. Yep. Thank you. That will take us, because we've kind of gone around on this agenda in various forms, so we'll take us to our first readings. Madam City Clerk, please proceed with our first readings.
26-017, first reading, an ordinance adopting amendments to the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget, which was approved by ordinance number 19682, first reading. 26-018, first reading, an ordinance approving a rezoning from District I-1 Industrial and District C-2 General Commercial to District R-30/PUD High Density Residential / Planned Unit Development, and approving a preliminary development plan for the property located at 315, 317, and 319 South Osage Street, first reading. 26-019, first reading, an ordinance approving a plan for an industrial development project, authorizing the City of Independence, Missouri to issue 2 series of taxable industrial development revenue bonds in a combined principal amount not to exceed $150,632,000,000, and authorizing and approving certain documents and actions in connection therewith, first reading.
Thank you. And that brings us to councilmember comments. Councilmember Fears, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one thing tonight. Last Wednesday, the Audit and Finance Committee met. We had our annual audit report from Reuben Brown, who is our outside auditors, no connection to the city at all. And they gave the city 100% clean audit. And so I just want to share that with the community and with those here and present, because that's extremely important for us to get that kind of a audit and just assure the citizens that our funds are being spent the way they're supposed to be spent. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Fears. Councilmember Stewart, the floor is yours.
I don't have anything tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vaught, the floor is yours.
I have nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wiley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about the shelter because I feel like there's more people in this room than I will ever have again. So I got some numbers today. In the month of February, we have outcomed 55 animals. We've adopted out 44. We've returned 8 to their owners, and we've transferred 3 to animal rescues, which is great numbers. However, we brought in 45 animals, 5 owner surrenders, 8 returns, 6 through animal control, and 26 strays. So the weather has been nice, which means we've had a lot of strays in Independence. So I also wanted to let everyone know that there are 3 doodles on site right now that are up for adoption. We don't usually have doodles. We have 3 of them. We also have a Maltese. We have a Shiba Inu, which is very rare. We also have a German Shepherd puppy that's in foster that is really gorgeous that is available. Then I want to remind everybody that you can get your dog you can get them microchipped at our shelter for $15. And that's a really good thing to do before the summer. We're about to hit kitten season, so they're going to be very busy. And then also a reminder that it's a good time to spay neuter your animals. If you can't afford to do that, or if you don't have a vet, there are resources available for reduced or free spay neuter. You can email me. My email is on the website, and I can help you get those resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember McCandless, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say how proud I am of Independence that we had such a robust turnout. I appreciate the many people who have sent me emails, who have invited me for coffee, who have invited me to their church group to come and answer questions, and the many, many, many people that I have met at the door who have talked about what they want for the future of Independence. 2 things from the police side. We were lucky enough to bring in 2 new police officers. Both of them came with experience, so it was lovely to get to welcome them. And 3 civilians were sworn in as well. We appreciate that Chief Brinkley involves us and lets us come to celebrate with these new employees. And the other is that the crime data for Independence is available, and it really shows some lovely improvements. It's not a story you hear much. You spend your time on Facebook, and it's everybody who had somebody walking down their street who scared them, or something happened to their car. But when you look at it in the aggregate, I think it tells quite a very good story. And I would like to ask the city manager if we can have an opportunity for our police department to present that crime data to the community.
We would be happy to add that to an upcoming study session.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Perkins, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank everybody that was here this evening. Good conversation, good, robust conversation. And if you didn't read Jeff Fox's opinion piece in the Examiner, I would encourage that. Very well done. And I would also say I think our founding fathers are smiling and kind of laughing with us, because this is kind of what we do with our community and getting into the conversations and getting into the thick of it. This is what we do. Economic development, good timing. So here's a couple updates in the 1st District. You probably have seen the orange cones that are going out on 24 Highway. Took advantage of the good weather today and walked up and down the business side there, passing out informational flyers, giving them some dates and timelines. So please slow down when you're going through 24 Highway from Sterling to Wilson Road. We have a lot of city employees that will be working out there, and then also we'll have a lot of construction crews. It's 25 miles right through there anyway, so please keep your eye on that. Setting up a meeting for economic development on that side of town with our Assistant City Manager, Charlie DeSalle, working with some groups of individuals. Hopefully, when you see that level of investment, that absolutely spurs conversation in our community for development. That section in there is about $6.5 million cost share, so looking and excited for that. Friends of Englewood Theater, they are going to have a ribbon cutting on March 25th at 4 p.m. to really kick off that development. You'll start seeing some roofing work being done there. That'll be kind of the first visual sites you'll see over there on the Englewood Theater. St. Mary's High School, having a meeting with the property owner and their representatives tomorrow. Looking forward to trying to get that off the dime. So that's just a little quick bit that I have. So I'll kick it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And I just wanted to thank the folks who put together the meeting last week when we met at the church, and Rachel Gonzalez and her friends and colleagues. It was a robust discussion. I wish we could have had more time, and I'd be happy to meet with you again to talk further about, but I appreciate you doing that, and welcome the democratic process and the discussion on that. So thank you for doing that. I also want to give out a big shout out to Congressman Cleaver, because I won't steal your thunder, but if you can just tell us a little bit about what Congressman Cleaver has done for us.
Congressman Cleaver has secured $1.2 million to be applied toward the Kentucky Road Bridge over Rock Creek. So as many of you, all of you, I'm sure in this room are aware, that is one of the bridges on our GeoBond project list. But securing these funds allow us to apply the $15 million set aside for bridges to bridges on further down the list, and go ahead and have those dedicated funds for the Kentucky Road Bridge that's been out for quite some time. What I will also add to that is that it is currently out for design already, and we expect to have design complete fall of this year, and then would turn around and put that out to bid for construction.
So, and I know you've asked about, if I had a nickel for every time you've said Kentucky Avenue Bridge, I could eat at a very, very nice restaurant. I very, very, very much so. So I wanted to say that because I know you've worked extremely hard at that, and I wanted to give you the kudos for working on that. So that's what I had. But Madam Interim City Manager, the floor is yours for anything you wanted to wrap up with.
Just real quickly, in the vein of discussions about upcoming construction, as March approaches, construction work will begin on the first two of our GeoBond bridges. That would be Kentucky Avenue over Mill Creek, and then the Chrysler Avenue Bridge. So just, again, keep an eye out for the construction crews that are out there working, but glad to finally see progress upcoming on those GeoBond projects. So that's all for this evening. Thank you.
And I've just got two other things. I want to give a shout out to Rebecca and your communications team. You do a great job, because they allow me to do videos every week promoting animals at the shelter. And you guys do a great job at that. So if you want to find animals at the shelter, you can look at our website at City of Independence, and you do that. So that's also very important. And I will do my last State of the City address on March 18th. It'll be free to the public. It will be at the Truman Library Auditorium, so you're all welcome to that. You can come and throw peaches at me or heckle me. I will certainly welcome that. And you can applaud or boo that day. It is perfectly fine in that arena to do that. So it's not a public meeting. But anyway, it'd be at 1 o'clock, March 18th, if I'm correct on the date and the time.
Correct.
Very, very good. Anything else before we wrap up? Anyone else? Okay. With that being said, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.